What is she doing?
Yeah.
No idea. Maybe she's just rebooting.
We're live. We're about to be live. So we'll just go back to that fun talk about the
Watch live now. Weavingspiders.
All right, good. We're live. Yay. All right. We're back. We'll figure it out, guys. Occult Priestess will be back. Anyway, but we were talking about underground bases, and that was fun.
Yeah, I was talking about. We were all talking about underground bases.
So we're Bush stuff. What?
There was a guy in shoot, I forget who it was, but it was one of the some immigrant moved over to Washington D.C. and it was like right when they made it the capital, and he supposedly had this invention. It was like a digging machine, and he tunneled all these secret tunnels all over
Nice.
the town. I wish I remembered what his name was, but
I just heard on a podcast, Moberly, Missouri, in like 1890, miners were 360 feet down when they discovered an actual city in Missouri, underground city.
oh wow,
And it's in the newspapers and everything.
they had newspapers.
It was in the newspapers. Went national. It was a national story, and it just
Was it like an ancient city?
yeah. And they found all the tools and everything, and they actually found some skeletons. The guy was reading the story. It's, I think this might be one of the things that start. We're in that time, man, where truth is truth now. Like things are coming out, and talk about giants and all that. And,
Well, yeah, there's the solar minimum, I think, is coming up where
Solar minimum. That's no. Isn't that during the solstice?
no, it's like
11-year cycle.
the sun has 11-year cycles, and then it has
Yeah, my fault.
big cycles too, like every like 300 years or something. We have like a mini ice age, and then like every, I don't know, 10,000 years they have a big ice age, supposedly. Like the last time it was called the Younger Dryas period,
Right.
and they had it was like the whole like the central United States. It was just like 30 degrees below and like 60-mile-an-hour winds like on the nice days, and it was just like uninhabitable unless you had an underground city, I would imagine. I think that was the way. I think that's why there are so many ancient underground cities, because they
it's logical.
Yeah.
It's logical. It doesn't make sense that wouldn't have been the case, especially for the ice age. And like as of late, I've been digging back into some random Peter Moon stuff and like looking at that fun, Romanian history and how they apparently retreated into the caves and fought off the hordes, while the Romans, or while the French were over, on the west, the western side of Europe, perfecting their bread. You know what I'm saying? They're fighting off the fucking hordes. So it's like, of course, they're gonna be able to escape into, I mean, in the cave systems. Think about the cave systems here in America, for crying out loud. Like in Kentucky, with all that, there's so much, and the piezoelectric madness going on over there, dude. That's fun stuff to look into.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's weird, but but the Romanian stuff, that stuff really.
No, I mean, it's interesting you guys are talking about that, because this last week, it was a lot of talk about that stuff. The LA underground tunnels has been getting talked about recently.
Because
I don't know why.
It was boring for a long time. I remember people. If I had a couple of friends that were like, "Dude, I can hear it under my house." This was like 2018, 20. I feel like it was. And then I feel like the project stopped for a little bit. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, it's fucking crazy. I mean, what is it connecting? We know that there are those deep underground military bases that are connected. Like that's been confirmed. That isn't just like theory.
Like it's called COG. Continuation of government. Or...
got all that Iron Mountain. You got so much proof that it's not fake. Like theory, conspiracy theory, this is just like fun. Like this is what's going on underneath all of our fast, weird. All the stories that come out of it too. It's crazy.
Yeah, like back to what we were saying earlier, with Earth and homes. It's always seemed odd to me that we would build our homes on top of the soil, and
Right.
especially like a tornado-prone areas, we could just take dirt at least and make a hill of your home. It's so simple. That would solve all your tornado damage problems, right?
Right.
Heating, cooling.
I mean,
It definitely helps with heating and cooling. Everything's real stable once you go down a couple meters, at least basement level. It's pretty much like 60 degrees all the time, and doesn't matter where you're at.
I guess the goal is for it to not last forever, so that there is damage to exterior buildings, insurance gets money, and you have to use electricity.
right. It's
Nailed it.
cycle going, right? It's like
Yeah, that's another thing that hit me. It's like, it almost seems like they run this country as if it has no future, and they know it. Everything's so temporary.
or yeah.
Have you seen the debt clock?
Well,
There's not enough resources in the world to pay off our national debt.
wait, go ahead, Jim. But leave your mic on.
It ain't my debt.
No, it's not my debt. It's every there's like $1 million every like 22 seconds or something that the national debt just ka-chink, 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 ka-chink,
I think
ka-chink. They send out checks.
1.9 trillion just got everybody like praising this. Yeah, you're just watching it like, are you fucking serious right now? $1.9 trillion for what?
Really though, it's like, how are we gonna care? It's so far gone. It's like care is like, are you kidding? You know what I mean? Like
That's why they have this like all this like, look over here, look over there. They did that whole GameStop thing, so people thought that it matters again, like the stock market's relevant.
It is for a minute. Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah.
I don't think it is, not at all. It's just I mean,
It might be relevant in the terms like you were talking before, cyclical, because everything's cyclical, from the sun and its 11-year cycles to generations of humans to civilizations rising and falling. Cyclical, we're in that depression era type. Everybody's taking loans out to buy stocks. What happened in our history the last time it was like that,
Yeah, and everybody's buying into this whole Bitcoin craze, and it's a little too late.
It is too late. It's funny, but let him have it because it's just making us. It's just funny. I don't know.
hello.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
We're about to do it. Okay.
It worked. It works.
Excellent. Good. I'm very excited. Finally.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
So I get to tell Elf on Twitter that we'll be back on.
Yeah. Link
Oh
is
yeah.
we're gravy.
Yeah, we are on. I'll send off a Twitter diddle.
I handled that.
Did I join you live?
Yeah.
Yes, we are live.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so let's just do this. Let's connect it all back though, because it was fun how how did this all happen again? There was a bunch of fun synchronicities that you had that you were like, what? Something, I think, Corinne. It went something like that. I don't know. I just thought that was fun.
So you want me to talk about the synchronicities that brought me here today?
Or yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Sure. Do it.
I saw Chance had interviewed Lindsay from Rogueways, right? I got all those names right. And Chance does the podcast Interverse. And then I think must have been through, I don't know how I literally got a hold of you. Yeah. I saw the name, Weavingspiders Welcome. And then I messaged Jim and I was like, dude, what's that all about? Because that sounds Masonic. And then Jim. And then we said we were maidens because like my name is Core and it means maiden in the Greek. And so we were bonding on the maiden thing.
And that's my last name. Maiden. Yes.
And then you guys were on Rogue Ways.
It's true. That was fun. That was a great show.
And then afterwards, you invited me to be in a chat. And then I chatted a long time with David. But I got to see your goats. Those goats are so sweet. So that was fun.
Thank you.
And I got to see your Tesla tricks, which I think you should always share with the audience.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'd like to do that. I've been playing with it a little bit, but I need to get some like demonstrations sort of figured out. I think it's pretty fun. I also need to do a little bit of tinkering inside the box. I ended up buying an 80-year-old Tesla quack medical machine that
Rife technology.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like high voltage low current, and there's like a Tesla coil inside this box, and you're supposed to screw it into a light socket. That's where it gets its power from. And then it's got this wand, and you put all these little apparatus into it. They're like glass, sort of neon tubes, but they have different they're filled with different gases. Like they have argon, and some of them have neon, and I think helium perhaps, and they glow different colors. And as the machine runs current through it, it's supposed to it was supposed to like heal your body, sort of like goes through your body and doesn't hurt you, but it would kill all the little bugs and nasty things that you don't want in your terrain, I guess, supposedly. So but there were some lawsuits, and they recalled and destroyed all the machines they could find. So
Or they just use them for the military now.
That could be.
Jim,
And so,
remind me to send you the video on the Denduro light bulb experiments these two gentlemen have been doing.
What is that? The Enduro light bulb.
Denduro light bulb. It's the
It's 11:11, by the way, Snake. It's 11:11 right now where I'm at.
nice.
And in California, it's 9/11 all the time.
I see that number too, depending on what I'm thinking about that day.
So that Denduro light, it's the Denduro light bulb. It's the hieroglyphics of that light bulb.
Yeah.
So these two gentlemen recreated it, and it sounds exactly like your Tesla machine. And what they noticed was the healing effects that this mercury filled. It creates a snake inside of it. They actually recreated the snake.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yo, Snake. Snake.
What's up?
You talking about synchronicity? I just got off a live stream with a paranormal channel on YouTube I watched, and told them about my paranormal experience I had with a spiritual awakening, being bitten by a snake.
Yes.
I've had those very same ones. The infusion of wisdom, I call them.
Nice. Tell us more.
Beanie too. Like,
Do you have Native American blood, mister?
For me? Absolutely. We all do.
Yeah.
Oh, do we all in chat? I mean,
my mother claimed it, but her name was Big Mama, and I remember in my grandparents' house there was a picture of her sitting on the toilet, and she was like 6 foot tall. She had pigtails that came all the way down to her knees, and I was told that my grandpa stayed warm in the winter by putting him in the oven.
well, something that was very interesting to me that David and I found out about each other was that we're both Cherokee, but also,
Very big deal. Everybody's like, that's like the most common, but still, go ahead. Sorry, it's good.
well, this is what I want to know about because no one's talking about it, and I'm a conspiracy person. So, my great grandmother, full-blooded Cherokee, was named Daisy Dill. And I've always thought of that. That's two herbs, you know, and I thought, well, maybe that was her slave name, you know, like they didn't name her Trisha or something. They named her two herbs to keep her in her class. And then David tells me his great grandfather's name.
It's just my great. Yeah, my mother's size. It's hemp wood. That's hemp wood. His first name's Hemp, last name Wood. That was it. So it's like, what the? There's something there, obviously.
What would hemp? Hemp would what?
Hemp wood. WOOD.
Oh,
That's the last
would,
name.
as opposed to wouldn't.
Dang. You're, oh, jeez.
Another zinger. Sorry, guys.
Never apologize for your zingers. They're great.
I normally wouldn't.
Oh, jeez.
Well, yeah, the synchronicities just keep going. This is
So does anyone else know their great grandparents' Indian names?
I don't know my great grandparents' Indian names, but it supposedly my great grandfather, he was a trapper in like Montana, and he married this like Indian princess, and he ended up Louis L'Amour, the author, he ended up basing one of his characters after this my great grandfather and his Indian princess wife. He was like a fur trapper. I haven't read it. I should track it down and read it, but
Do you know the title?
there's a lot of
I
Louis
don't.
L'Amour books.
My grandpa loved Louis L'Amour books and knew all of
Excellent books for young boys to grow up to and read.
That's what I hear. I haven't actually read them, to be honest. I need to check it out.
What about on your European side of the family, James?
The European side, it goes. I don't know about Native Americans on that side. I know that like I think it was Robert E. Lee's mother's mother was a maiden. But
Isn't it strange we don't know our own lineage like we should?
Yeah, we know names and whatever, but we really don't know our past like the elite do, you know, and that's our power is our past. It's a genetic memory, man.
My father
I have a book like
some
that.
good work on that.
Some relative of mine put together a whole genealogy, and they went to the Mormon genealogy computer. And
well, do we know names? Because that's a good way to start. Is you could say what their names were, and you know you'd be surprised.
That's the problem. Like when my father did our genealogy way back, he was doing it off microfilm, but like the people in my family line that he said were Native American didn't have names. Like Old Lady Spice was the only record they had. They didn't have birth certificates. They weren't in the Christian Bibles.
Right.
The censuses were, you know.
They send them all to schools, those Native American reform schools, and just beat it out of them.
I think that was them wiping them off the record. So if you're lucky, I mean, I think a lot of us have reintegrated. Is what it is.
Yeah, I can share some interesting names on my side of the family that was from Europe and Sicily and Italy.
Strega. Do you have Strega witches in your family bloodline?
I think the Silk Road, North Africa, Egypt, Sicilian, Italy probably has a lot of history to it and genetic memory for sure. but I'm kin to the my mother's maiden name is Langio, and her maiden name is Constantine. And
Interesting.
mine, yeah, and mine is actually Piccione, which is Piccione, which means a pigeon and or dove, and in Spanish it's pichon. And my family crest is the here, I'll show it to you real quick. I got Mother Nature inside my family crest. Let's see. It's a dove with an olive branch in its mouth.
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
awesome.
Yeah, let me shine a light on it real quick so you can see it. And it's sitting above the knight's armor, so that the bird is even more powerful than the armor itself. You know, so that's what that is. And then that's traced back to Columbine, Columbia.
Hey,
The dove.
bring up, yeah, Freeman Fly did a whole series on
Yes, he
Columbia, the goddess.
Yeah,
Yeah, I told Freeman I'd try to shout him out tonight. So the minute
Well,
I heard something,
the dove goddess, right? The goddess, the dove. There's a dove on there, but I think they got it wrong. It wasn't Italy; it was Sicily. Oddly enough, the reason why I found that family crest was they had in 2006 of January in Kuwait, guys coming back home from Iraq. There was this Irish guy, and he was like, "Hey, give me your name. Give me this amount of much money, and I'll send you a certified certificate of your family's legacy and what their shield is." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then I gave it to him. I said, "Sure, why not?" And sure enough, a few months later, I got it in the mail, and I got the crest. And it's even if it's not it, it's the fact that the symbology is empowering, and I have a shield, I have an armor. You know, every family should have that. It's your banner, it's your
Yes.
legacy.
And I would suggest, if you guys don't have one, to make one. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then if you want to turn it up to 11, you paint your face and go out in the woods with a rifle.
You do. Yes.
There's something about painting your face, man. Any way you see fit. It's just something about it's not covering up something. It's actually becoming one with something.
Grip it and rip it, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's all the hits I'm taking tonight.
That ancestral healing, I don't know when it came up in your guys' radar, but it seems like collectively in our little collective tribe here, because about 2018, 2019, for real, man. And in 2020, like if you guys just engage a little bit in it, I encourage, if anybody's in chat who hasn't, this is the work to be done right now, for real.
Yeah. And do you have some? Oh, nice.
It's a hawk or a falcon, perhaps.
Oh,
You caught a duck. It's
Yeah. Oh,
Show
What's
it
that
again.
on?
Show it. I'd like to see that again. I couldn't see it.
oh,
on
it's
the phone.
right here. When I talk, it might make me pop up there.
Good.
But yeah.
Notice what it's killed.
What? I
Well,
can't.
look at the bird underneath it.
I think it's a duck. Not a oh, that is a dove on this one.
Yeah.
you guys are
Dude.
ancient warriors.
And notice the shield's above the falcon.
Always right over here. Oh man.
I don't know if that was it or if, well, here's Maiden, which is, it's a duck, which is, my name is Maiden, but
That's actually that's Swissy. You got Switzerland colors there. I bet you that's Swisso-German.
I bet
Probably
my-
modern, not
Is
maiden, but
maternal or
modern.
paternal more?
Right.
What really has so for a man is it your maternal line or
No, maternal
the
mom.
matriarchal is the father,
right? But what's
and the
is-
matriarchal is the mother.
is either one more important than the other, or
That depends on if you're a pagan or not.
So in the pagan tradition, then go into it. Well,
Please.
In the pagan tradition, you have the Lord and the Lady, or the God and the Goddess, and that filters down into all of nature of the planet Earth. So where we could look at a more of a transhumanist viewpoint of ones and zeros, or we can look at a natural divine viewpoint of masculine and feminine.
Oh, you go, girl.
Thank you.
No, that's good. We're not going to be counting shit. We're just going to go more. Yeah.
Well, how can you count shit? Seeds are abundant and countless. You can't count seeds each plant. It's just it's
Nice.
randomness and its beauty. It's not meant to be zeros and ones.
That's how I'm listening to Wayne McCroy today, and I was going over his he was reading from Manly P. Hall's Melchizedek and Unseen Forces, which is highly recommended.
Ohm talks about Melchizedek, but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and he's really pushing it about the transhumanism. He's like, they're trying to quantify everything. They try and count everything. They try and break it down in numbers, and that is not nature.
yeah, it's true. With all the data points and everything else, like it just keeps growing. It's like data mining feels like picking a scab that's just like and just digging in and just infecting it worse and worse and worse. That's just how I feel about like it just gets grosser and grosser and more infected and just more foul. I don't know.
David, what about your family? Where are they from?
Just like Danish, Cherokee, German, Irish, Polish.
Barski.
Like it's yeah.
You know, I'll tell you this, David. In the military, if you anybody with the name SKY or SKI was always named Ski. Everybody got a Ski for a name that was that. It was just a common thing.
Oh yeah, I've gotten it since like third grade. Nobody's called me by my first name.
You want to know my maiden name, Johnny?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Sheckler.
On your mother's side or your father's?
Mother's. Sheckler.
Sheckler?
Yeah, Sheckle.
Huh. Well, you know, they say it's the mother's side or the father's side, but what about the mothers on the father's side?
I don't know. It's
You know what I'm saying?
I feel my father's side. Like I direct. My father did a great job. I mean, I told you my great grandfather, his brother, and his son, my great grandfather, William. They fought in the Civil War on the Union side. They marched from St. Genevieve, Missouri, all the way up to St. Louis, and I was able to get a hold of all their records so easily off the internet. You know, I could read all their medical records, their muster rolls, and I found
the hero's journey. Did you hear about all the Union guys that just had to walk home after the war?
Yeah, man. He from Atlanta. He made the last one was William. He received the wound on his right hand, was treated, went back, and then he received an actual disability. He got shot in the left hand where he was completely disabled. And I could read that. I have the printout, you know, of the doctor's report. Anyway, I just received I lost my fingertip on my left hand. And I really do believe that has to do with that ancestral trauma.
Yeah.
First thing that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you know, we've been here for a long time. I think anyone, like, I don't know, you've been here for 200 years, your family or more, or there's something going on.
I actually have some insight into that, fellas.
Please.
So from a scientific ones and zeros perspective, you're being influenced through the DNA in your body, correct? Through these ancestors, your DNA.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. Epigenetic. Yeah.
That's what you feel. You feel that. Well, I think you think it. And I think what you feel is the ghost of your ancestors in real time.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been noticing they've been doing little things to let me know they're around by moving my keys around the house and stuff.
I've gotten a big blast of like wind in my face, like when I needed course corrections, I think. and it was something on the family that the family might have an interest in, I guess.
The ancestors can be in
Bones.
two different realms. So you can be dealing with two different type of ancestor, depending upon which realm they're in. Your ancestor can be what we call a hungry ghost in Buddhism, in the Bardo or the hell realm. And they can be trying to run your life as if it is their life and trying to reincarnate through your seed, because that is their goal. But their
Now,
goal, sorry.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Would that bump out the spirit that would be going there, or is it supposed to be an ancestor coming back? Or
Question.
It sounds like a interrupted natural reincarnation cycle, some trauma, right?
Yeah, either that or someone misses the material world and wants to live it again.
Well, I just heard someone read out of the Bhagavad Gita, whatever.
The
about
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Didn't mean to butcher that. But
yeah, is a snake.
Yeah.
I wonder, could she keep going on the other aspect, because it was getting to different. I forget
well,
what
the
it was.
reincarnation is you die, and then you're evaporated, and then you rain down, and then you go into the wheat of the seed, right? And then the people eat it, and then you're reincarnated. That's Marishima 2012 just put a video out on it.
Yeah, we're talking about
Again,
seeds.
What you're looking at there is a DNA ones and zeros physical point of view, where I speak from a metaphysical or shamanic point of view, which is beyond the five senses.
Awesome.
What's the other level you were talking about? There was yeah.
You've got the Bardo or the hell realm with the hungry ghost ancestor trying to control those who are living in real time. Then you have those who have made it to what you can call the heaven realm, right? So these would be the ancestors that you celebrate. The Greeks used to have, the ancient Greeks used to have a little place, a little altar in their houses with depictions of the gods. And this was like where they went to worship as a family and to celebrate their ancestors as well. And so everybody had that, it was commonplace. But the way that ancestors are worshipped today, for the most part, are putting the living person in danger. Unless you're a highly trained voodoo kind of person, that you're going for the priesthood and that really dedicating yourself, then I always caution people to stay away, because most of our ancestors are alcoholics. They beat their wives. They had super problems. Just because they're dead doesn't mean they're smart. So, I mean, my dad was an alcoholic, and that probably went way back.
Mine was too, and so was my granddad.
Yeah, how much it's in every family. It's
both sides.
That alcohol.
It's like, yeah. So
it's called wine and spirits for a reason.
Indeed, it is.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Corey. So me and my son, my beloved young, magical, authentic, beautiful child over here, Ellis.
In World War II German incarnation, I'm telling you, that's what he is, dog.
I know. And he's named after his grandfather, who was born in 1896, fought in World War I. So Ellis and I were listening to Ben Balderson and James True one day. We were getting ready to go up to be with help Ben move his farm, and Ben and James were doing a live stream about bones and the information that's in our bones, our ancestors, and how American Indians, most likely in all civilizations, used to live on top of their ancestors because that was their power.
Well, that's very strange, since most Native Americans moved around.
Well, I don't think all of them did, and I think there's more nations and different types of let's say
different
races.
shades besides Native.
Yeah. So
there was probably Caucasian people here too.
Oh yeah. Washington Stone. Look at that work. So anyway, we were this is synchronicity. We're actually driving by Kokia Mountain, so I'm going to go pick up my army tent that I listened to your live stream on in Murder Mountain. And anyway, we're going into Illinois, and I'm driving by. And they're talking about Kokia Mountains and the bones. I'm like, I'm gonna stop here. We didn't make it that day. We went the next day. And the photo of me you see right now is in New York. That's a new moon ceremony. Ben Balderson led. And I took the ashes from that fire and we spread them all across the country, all across the I've sent it to England, Australia. Anyhow, I brought those ashes to Kokia Mountains, and me and Ellis made a personal ritual. It was about that epigenetic healing. But I just sense that those are our ancestors, and they're ready to be woken up or at least get acknowledged. So we got on top of Kokia Mountains, and I've got the video. You can watch this.
We should maybe watch this. It's an insane video. Like it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, and tears come to my eyes when I saw it. I was just like,
it's still one of the most profound experiences I can say that is like authentic, inherent. Like it just came out. It was Ellis who did it, but man, the thunder and the lightning just ripped right open on top of us. The whole city was shut down as lightning was striking everywhere. The highways came to a complete stop, and me and Ellis were like, "Oh, what did we just do?"
it's not very long, is it?
No, it's only like 2
Barski,
minutes.
do you think
It sounds like you ripped open a portal, boys.
Okay, so there's more to add. And now we've got good work right now on the Silver Gate with the arch and the God, what's her name? I'm blown away by it. So I'm participating in this thing, and I'm not sure it's a good thing to do.
But it's also the new moon this evening. I want you to know. New moon in Pisces. Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that neat? That's neat.
I had my ceremony with Lindsay and Rogueways earlier. It was a nice
Awesome.
meditation. Yeah. So this new moon magic something.
Yeah, what's the name of the video? Here,
The Thing 2.5.
that's what I thought of it. Hold on. I'll find it.
You want me to send it to you?
I'll find it, dude. I'm here. Don't worry.
And we'll play it so that everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And this is synchronicity. This is ancestral healing, but this also couples with what you're just talking about. Like I'm at the point now because there's a lot of things that have really started unfolding there.
Ceremonial call to the giants, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. All right. So wait.
Ellis talks about it all the time. I mean, he's going to be 30 and remember that.
Bro, you know what I seen at a store? I was thinking about getting Ellis, dude.
What?
It was a freaking MP40 BB gun that freaking is full auto.
Hey, here
I
you
want to come with.
He's got an MP40 right now. He's running around with it. It's a plastic one.
Wait for a second on the video.
Where's Corey?
I'm here. I'm watching.
Oh, cool. Hold on, Ellie. We're going to watch your video. You want to see? Remember this?
Jesus Christ.
I am the keeper of the ashes, and I brought the ashes to New York. The great ceremony, fellowship, friendship. I'm bringing the ashes here. Call to the giants. Let them know.
Holy shit.
Can you feel that? Let them know that we need peace. We recognize you. We're here. And it's our time to root, to be men. We are of the earth. I am the salt of the earth. I am the living soil. I am a living soul.
Right on.
Grant us the ancestral memory, the power, once and for all, bring an end to empire, and restore the sacred right of the human being. making me a human being, oh Father. Thank you for making me a human being.
You did a good job.
Ah, that was awesome. That was awesome, man.
So awesome.
And that was Snake, right? That's Snake.
Yeah.
That's me
Okay.
and my little boy, Ellis. Say hi.
Hi.
Good evening, Alice.
Good evening.
What's your star sign, little boy?
What?
Your astrology.
Oh. What does that mean?
When's your birthday?
Oh, May 21st.
May
Oh, he's a
21st.
cusp.
This boy's a Gemini for sure. Yep, he did it. And okay, that 19, the 19 stomps, the 19. I'm living off Highway 19 now. I have 19 fingers now. And
What
then the
year
19
was it?
This was 2020.
Not 19?
No, close. And the
19,
new moon magic. Yeah.
19 and this is very interesting because it was a brand new moon, being born moon beginnings. And then the 19 in the tarot is the sun card. So you brought together masculine and feminine. Boom.
So
you see how that works?
I just got my natal chart done by Robert Phoenix.
Oh,
And,
Robert Phoenix.
yeah, he's a really good friend. He's becoming a good friend. And
congratulations.
So I've got the solar sign, 19th degree, which is
Oh.
Zuni. He's telling me the Zuni sun ritual is what I really need to be working on.
What's your sun sign? What's your when you're born?
August 12th, 1980.
So you're a Leo. You're already a Leo. So you're already full fire. And then you add the sun on top of fire. But the first god, even though I think you were talking about a person that you mentioned to me was Odin. And I wonder if you should look Odin up in the encyclopedia and check him out because the guy you met was a lot like Odin. Yeah,
I spent 3 months with Ben Balderson, and he is a god, believe it or not, and an alchemist. And the experience of living a pagan lifestyle was amazing. So me, my son, and all of them, it's just the heathen lifestyle. I mean, and that's the other thing, the runes. So I got on RX Only Picture Show, second show. I thought we were doing clay projects, and I made a set of runes, and it was just an amazing experience. I mean, it was during the time after my father died, so it was healing. I don't know, but the magic.
That's very healing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're talking about ancestral stuff. We're talking about the new moon. I mean, this stuff is you're gonna get results. And the thing is, though, if you don't have the fellowship to talk about it, which I do now, you got Rogue Ways, Corey, you were great. Heck, I was listening to you on Murder Mountain. I don't even know how I got that downloaded onto my phone, but I did.
Yeah,
and
mysterious ways.
Yep.
Right. So here we are.
This is the usual. This is just the way it is. So I'm happy with it. It's good. But
Go ahead.
No,
ancestral stuff I wanted to talk to you more about.
This part.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your background and like what, I don't know, how you got here or whatever? Just, I don't know, wherever you want to start to, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I can break it down really quick. So I was born into a Jehovah's Witness family. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a codependent. She was a very sweet, hardworking woman, always worked for herself. So that helped me learn how to take care of myself. But I got into paganism when I was about 15 years old. I got serious when I was 16. I started reading tarot in a nightclub when I was 17. And around 23, I opened my first The Occult Shop, is what it was called. And it was an occult store. I gave readings. I had the whole community in Cincinnati, Ohio. So my moniker, Occult Priestess, actually means something. I had a coven called, and I still do, the Coven of the Illuminated Shadow. And we had over 28 people at one point. And then I had an ego death. I don't know if many people know what that is, but I met my guru when I was 23, which is before I opened a store. But I met my guru, Sri Mamo Devi, of the Karma Kagyu Tibetan lineage of Buddhism. And she taught me how to be a person. She taught me to get away from my ego enough to start correcting myself. And then I went to 12-step groups. So I healed my codependency that I had learned from my mother and maybe born with, because I love people a lot. But I've since learned how to love in a healthy way and how love is healthy. It's not a vampire situation, which codependency often is. And I had a second store called Aquarius Star. And then this is many, many years of my life. But then I had a mission from God. God came to me. And this is after several Kundalini awakenings, which I haven't even spoken of, and said, hey, girl, why don't you get out to LA? Let's see if we can take over the media. And I had a target of David Wilcock. And within a few months, I was in the room with him. Okay. And I was touching his heart every moment I could. And we were just trying to be the witness for God around all of these people out here in LA and the UFO disclosure community.
What year was that?
Sorry, what?
What year was that?
So I first got to LA in 2016. I've been on this mission for 5 years now.
Oh, you're awesome.
Yeah, because these pieces.
You are awesome.
And that's what I mean. That was like the dead giveaway we were talking about the other night for Q. The second we heard David Wilcock talking about Q, I knew it was bullshit.
Actually, if you notice, Wilcock talked like Q before Q even existed.
Exactly. I was literally like, "Oh my god, this is all this. This is so stupid." And then, I was like, "Well, I'm comfortable. I'm totally comfortable not believing any of this shit because it just doesn't feel right anyway." Anything.
Well, what I've learned out here with the New Age community, UFO community disclosure, is that this is where things originate. This is where they get their scripts. This is like where the FBI puts their money to make in the sci-fi scripts for the New World Order.
Yeah, Lookout Mountain, Laurel Canyon. What do you need? Disney? What else do you need? Like, seriously, I mean,
the brainwashing capital of America.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is it specifically that California is located that is somehow a catalyst to disperse that across here? What is it about that state?
Well, I'll tell you something. Yes, always astrology, ley lines. But something that the Greek god Zeus told me is that this is up above LA, is Olympus. But everything here is turned upside down. We're in an upside down world. So we're talking Hollywood. Think of it as Olympus for a moment, but understand it is the inversion of Olympus. And these are those false gods of the false light.
Okay, Corey, I just want to throw this in there. June 3rd, 2011, I landed in Skid Row, LA, broke and homeless, and ended up in a sober living doing the 12 steps.
Great, good for you.
Listening to David Wilcock versus...
Oh, no.
Yeah. So like,
I had 12-step videos out when David Wilcock was big, so you could have found me somewhere.
Yeah. There's something about LA. I actually ended up in Garden Grove, but would visit LA. And now the energy out there is for real. There's something going on.
Well, they're very easily brainwashed out here. And I think it's from indoctrinated since you're very little. But I grew up in Ohio. And I was always authentic no matter what. Yeah. Even if I was a bitch, I was an authentic bitch.
Right. That's a Midwest thing though, too, I think. There's something with that. There's something to be said with that. Because it's not like I haven't met many people from the West or the South that have that. But you're right on the carpet bagging line there. Sorry. Yeah. Come on. Sorry, Jesus, don't be that upset. But I think it's fascinating to keep going on about some of the. Well, you just said Zeus, right?
Yeah.
So wait, hold up. So everybody, record scratch. You just said Zeus told you. So I've got it. I've got what? How? What? Zeus?
Yeah, please more.
How?
The Joseph Campbell version? Like, do you know who Zeus is? Do you understand
Of
he's
course,
a
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all. We're I mean, no, no. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Like, oh.
No, not at all. I just needed to know where to start.
Yeah, I
So
want to just be like, okay, so me just playing. No, I'm not playing like, oh, I don't believe what you're saying. I'm not saying that. I'm just curious to know your experience and how Zeus were to come to you. Because to hearing that for a lot of people, it's woo-woo craziness. You understand exactly. Yeah. So I don't even need to go any further. So
Not for me, not after this summer.
don't know.
All years.
Dude, and I'm totally. That's why
You got to get the experience, bro. It's weird.
we're all friends. But not everybody watching this or hanging out with is necessarily on board.
David's never had an amazing experience.
David has. Believe me.
He has.
that's a whole other topic, and that's personal, gentlemen.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
that's
we all
true.
know that anyway.
That's true.
But anyway, so it doesn't really
All
matter.
right, so
Yeah, go ahead.
when you first get into Wicca, I was reading books. So I read a lot, The Witch's God, The Witch's Goddess, 2 different books by the Farrars, Farrar. And they're like encyclopedias of ancient gods and goddesses that I used to worship in past lives. So when I read their stories, I
Interesting.
remembered, it's like I felt their stories. But in Wicca, I was taught to go, when I go into prayer, when I go into circle, I was taught to listen for an answer, that I would be answered back. But I have a very extreme talent of having my third eye open since birth. So if there was something around to talk to me, I could hear it or see it or feel it. So going into ritual with an open heart and being vulnerable without my ego and just saying, I believe I'm your daughter, Lord and Lady, God and Goddess. And in that vision, in particular, when I was 18, maybe 17, the roof on my building came off for me and I could see the sky above, and a god and a goddess came down and said, yes, please join our path of Wicca, because that's what I was doing. I was self-dedicating to the path of Wicca. And that's when they first came to me. But through many years, I have worked with and loved many gods and goddesses. But for the past, maybe even 10 years, I've been working with the Greeks. And my main spirit guide, my operator, is Hermes Termaximus Trismegistus.
Yes.
So okay, so I'm very familiar. I don't think I need to go on this too big of a thing here about who Hermes Trismegistus is to everybody, but in the chat there's people that probably maybe don't know. And it's
It's Under Armour logo.
there you go.
He's the FTD flower guy, and he's also the Caduceus, you guys.
He is.
There you go.
Just
Isn't he standing on a
the
skull?
snake. Cord serpent.
Usually he's depicted standing on the world, but here you just see his wings.
He's the
Mercury.
guy that gets into the Gatorade whenever Mercury's in Gatorade.
It's got
Mercury in
electrolytes.
retrograde.
All the stars do that like whoop.
What was his purpose
Oh,
in the
dabbing.
Greek lore? What was he, a messenger or what?
traveling
So-
stars.
If you're talking about actual mythology, reading Budge in the actual books, he let out, they knew he was a trickster the moment he let out someone's cattle, maybe Aries or somebody's cattle. But yeah, he is the messenger of the gods. It's very special to all shamans and all occultists because he's a psychopomp. Psychopomp is to walk between the worlds, this
Yes.
dimension,
Criminal. Yep. Sorry.
and all the way to heaven, and some of us even beyond there, because we have open cosmic consciousness, because we have broken through and deleted the subconscious.
Oh,
That's fascinating.
oh, girl, yes.
So
Great.
yeah, this is great. So why don't you get a little bit more into, I guess, what currently you're up to in LA? I mean, like, there's so many fools out here, and you mentioned a few. And we don't need to keep mentioning them because people in the chat know who we're talking about. It doesn't really matter. Blue chicken cults, all that fun stuff. Frauds, giving frauds platforms. I've always found that gross and disgusting and called that out on Twitter. I don't care. Name names. It's because it needs to happen because people
It does need to happen. We need
Yes.
to champion the truth, or no one else will. And you can't give in to those who are making shit up.
and challenging the hucksters, the charlatans, and not giving any pushback is disgusting.
Well,
But
it is
what
an
I found
initiation.
also, there's some
Don't forget.
people out there that are just haters. Their whole channel is based on hating people, and they're not even looking up facts or doing research. They're just hating, and that's a concern.
Well, it's a concern, but I mean, yeah, but I guess
Hey, I mean, I can't tell you how many chances I had. I had both the authentic Joseph Campbell, Neil Kramer, real guys out there doing it.
I
at the
love
same
Neil
time.
Kramer. Neil
Oh, he's a
Kramer is the
mentor.
bomb.
He's my mentor. He's a good dude. He's gone Christian
I
lately.
don't know who Neil Kramer is.
He might be scared. Things are happening.
Yeah, and the world's gonna melt. But
Mean Kramer and MC5.
it's the
What does he talk
initiation,
about?
the tests put before you. I mean, really, I'm so thankful both for the New Age David Wilcock Blue Chicken stuff and the everything that was going on 2011, 2013.
Well, what David did to Gaia, who was feeding him, the hand that fed him, he turned
Yeah.
around and said that Gaia was full of Satanists and quit. But then he wrote an apology letter and said, "Can I come back, please?" And then right now, of course, there's all that Corey Good stuff. And did he leave Corey Good behind? You know, it's all drama. But yeah, go ahead.
I haven't been following it at all. I mean, I focus on this stuff.
Yeah, once he started talking about intergalactic blue people type thing, it was a little silly.
Get out of here. Yeah, you ain't like
blue bird people or some shit.
But where do you draw the line? I mean, like, if
Draw
you
the
see
line.
someone failing the test, I mean, the test is there, right? You get
Right.
what I'm saying?
but the only issue is so many people were on board. It was disgusting. I mean, let's be realistic though. Like,
I ordered
They're
the
unconscious.
book,
I don't
the
know.
source code, and when I got it, I opened it up, and the book was printed upside down. Like all the pages were printed upside down. The cover was like, right side up, and the pages were all printed upside down. So it was like,
Huh?
it was really weird. I never read it because I thought it was like a joke. I was like, this is weird. The source code, like, what more do I need to know?
It was
It's like,
some weird
upside down.
witchcraft. Read the book upside down, and
Yeah.
it casts something.
I don't know if it was like just a misprint for mine, or if they're all like that. Like I ordered it off Amazon.
it was misprint.
I still have it, but like, how the f do you get a book misprinted upside down? Like they would
Only
have
you
to have
would.
done a whole run of them.
Well, that certifies credibility, didn't it?
Yeah, seriously, that's why I didn't read it. I was like, well, I don't need to read it. Like obviously it's like that question, like the philosophy question, like in one word, tell me why.
So it
And
sounds
there's,
like,
like,
Corey,
you know,
that you met him and everything, and you might have gone down that path, but something happened, or what?
So I was on a mission from God to move to Los Angeles from Ohio, which
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
And my friend, and I call him my mentor, I don't know if he agrees with me, is Freeman Fly of freemantv.com.
Freeman. You not love Freeman. Like, I couldn't be like, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Freeman hooked me up with a guy out here named Jimmy Church.
Nice.
Here we go.
And his radio show is named Fade to Black. And that's where I went with those people. It's like I was just letting the door. They're like, "Oh, your friend, come on in, no problem." And then I got on the show and I started not hanging out like on the weekends at their house, but hanging out with them at the bigger social events. And I went to their New Year's Eve party at their house, pretty private. And that's where I first met David Wilcock and asked him questions. I was so excited. And I actually, within earshot of him, I asked a friend there, I was like, well, have you ever heard of the Dark Journalist? Because at that time, Daniel Litz, the Dark Journalist, was doing a series about the Blue Avians and about Corey Good and David Wilcock, and I actually brought it up in the room. And then Jimmy Church had a reaction, like, don't talk about that. And I just let it go because everybody's drinking. They're trying to have a fun time. But I definitely felt feathers ruffled just bringing up that name. And I figured, well, they're all in the business, and wouldn't they all like each other? Apparently not if one is attacking the other.
Oh, yeah.
So that was wild, going to a New Year's Eve party out of the blue, out here in LA, straight from Ohio. It was wild, people. And there was no one really to tell about it either, except for a bit of on my YouTube audience or radio audience. But I was definitely having these experiences. I went to the fairs out here and worked with Steve Murillo. So he's from MUFON.
Huh.
Y'all know what MUFON stands for? It's some kind of UFO place.
Oh.
And through going to MUFON, I got to meet Jordan Sather.
Oh, wow.
And so there's, all those people, Teresa Llaneros. But also I met bigger people and got to be with them, like hanging out with them, touching them. That's what a shaman does, touches and feels them, gets the read on them. So like Linda Moulton Howe, she was there,
Hey, 6 feet apart, right?
Not yet. This was all not until I took I have a magazine for the conference that we all go to every year in February. Last February, I put that magazine on my altar and said, God, do what you need to do. I'm done with this. I quit my job. I quit going around these people and, being a witness for you. I can't stand this anymore. And directly after that, we went into lockdown. And it was just yesterday when I cleaned my altar, moved the magazine and the signatures. There's a signature of the magazine of Russell Brand because he was there, but that's not where I got it signed. Long story. But I'm just saying, we're going to see some changes here coming soon. And I do feel it's going to come in the form of pushback, because I have had that magazine on my altar for a year, and who knows what kind of karma that did.
Outstanding.
Okay, so
You are authentic.
This is wild. Like so I think it's awesome what you did, and that's part of the reason why I was like, oh, the story is like too crazy. It's close in a bunch of ways that I don't need to really go into personally, as you know, because it's just silly and it's just little gossipy dumb details, so I'm not going to do it. But it's just really, really random. It's just so random. And ultimately I missed some of that. Sorry, I couldn't get my monitor working properly. But anyway, so you got a chance. All right, so I ended with hearing you talking about as a shaman. Where were we?
You touch people, you feel people. But I was playing out here in Los Angeles. I had David Wilcock, but also Russell Brand was the bigger overarching target.
Where was he? Why? Or was he just, was it like Duncan Trussell? Not like, it sounds all stupid, TMZ, gossipy, and dumb, but it's weird.
Well, you've got to probably understand, I've probably dealt with these very particular souls in past lives. And so I was the one that had the karma to deal with the situation.
Huh. All right. Did you touch David Wilcock's forehead?
I knew it.
No.
Crazy.
Veneers.
I just stare at it like, what's going on with that?
He's part dolphin and not in a good way.
Wasn't he distressed and thought his life was in danger? I remember watching something about that.
It's all, we're talking shit about him, mind you, Jonathan, just to be clear.
No, I know, but I'm being for real. Like, I remember him being in distress, thinking his life was in danger or something.
Anybody's
That
life.
happened every other week, though, for real. It
Was that
awful.
real, or was that just him being scared all the time?
Pussy.
Well, actually, if you really want to know, which he's been open about this, so then I can be open about this. At that time, he was in an abusive marriage and she was abusing him. So he might have been projecting a lot of his own issues onto, what might have been he thought was going on through a paranoid lens.
Fair
I
enough.
did sense that some spousal type issues. I kind of figured that he was going through something like that.
Okay.
Interesting.
One thing I do want to do, I don't want to just like
I have
derail.
a question though. He thinks he's Edgar Case?
Yes.
Does he still think that?
He looked a lot like.
The Dolphin.
I brought it up to him the first time I met him, and I said, I support you being Edgar Casey. And he's like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I was like, what is doing that? So you either are or you aren't.
He's not a fraud, dude. It's so blatantly obvious. I mean, he's like Jimmy Swaggart out here. Like,
But
come
the funny thing is that I think, ironically, I think he is the reincarnation. That Edgar Casey wasn't all that much either.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, who the fuck gives a shit about
Wow.
this? Fraud too. Didn't want to be like whatever. I felt the same way about him. I've never felt anything. Not that I'm I'm
Sleeping prophet.
dude, that's some fraudulent ass shit. It just has growth written all over it. I don't know. That's just me personally.
Yeah, you can feel it. It's important to trust that.
Gross, man, it's gross. And I wanted Jim. Unless you had a specific question, I did want to go get like Jungian on some shit, but
Yes.
Yeah, no, I just think that he just seemed too good to be true, like
look at his
how somebody right in the
Talks about
center.
jazz drummer. Like I can just from playing music tell he's full of shit and he's not a real musician just by the way he talks about playing music.
A drummer.
Yeah, if you're an expert in your field and he talks about something in your field, you'll know he's full of crap.
You don't ever talk about that shit. Yeah, you don't. You what? Like,
Do
no.
you think his intentions was genuine at one time, and the fame and the money and just the celebrity and is it getting attention just kind of warped it to a dark path?
Edgar Casey.
I really think he was born that way, sweetie. I think he was born a social climber and he'll die a social climber.
Ooh.
Isn't that more of a narcissist type mindset?
Mhm. Well, it's service to self, and that's what I saw. Service to self.
Full left hand.
Yeah, and they would manipulate people whose hopes and intentions for a better world. That's like a very deep form of evil, in my opinion.
I agree. That was my huge problem. I didn't care if he had some small following, but he had a huge following and they're all going in the wrong direction. But that's when I got into the audience and I was like, okay, who are these people? Are they students or are they fans? And I learned.
Cool. So ego death necessary for our friend, or because I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump into young.
That's very relevant.
We're all going through, or at least a few of us personally here are all going through some, not going through, we're always going through, right? I mean, for real, but I mean, just like
it's in the consciousness anyway.
Right. It's yeah, and it's extra loud right now. You know,
is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Can you screw it up?
It's just really loud. I feel like it's a good thing, but I don't know. Let's ask. What do you think?
What's the question?
Go ahead, Aaron. Snake.
Oh, you want to do a Jungian talk, but the ego death, like
we did, yeah.
I heard you earlier speak about your experience with ego death, and I'm very fascinated to hear more in such a young age too.
30. I woke up at 30, and I mean ego
cool.
death woke up.
No, yeah. So I woke up at 30 as well. That's when I landed out in California. Everybody was always talking about ego this, ego that. I was so confused. I had no idea what ego was. Well,
I didn't know what was happening to me until later.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of us are experiencing Kundalini stuff. I had my crown chakra open on me, surprisingly. I'm like, what the? So I get back home. Yeah. And I think I initiated an ego death with a psychedelic experience in Murder Mountain. And then my Kundalini opening, and then coming back out here out of nature and just, getting back into nature with the purchase of this farm, getting back in order. But ego death, Jungian, shadow work, the unconscious, conscious, all this stuff is probably good for everyone to at least be aware of right now. Because I think that's the great divide. It's conscious versus unconscious.
100%. And I want to question something really quick about what you just said, because when we were talking before the show and how we're young, right? And how, so I just had a sacral and root chakra experience like 48 hours ago. That was
so kids, he's talking about his first and second chakras down here.
Yeah. So it was like a balancing meditation, and it was how can I put it? It felt like I activated it more so than like I never had properly activated it. So when I went to do what I thought was a centering, right, or whatever kind of thing, like, okay, I've got this. This is a meditation I can work with, and I'm comfortable, or whatever, which I have been in the past. It was much more. The visualization was much stronger. It was there was no doubt about any of this. You know what I mean? It was so.
What did you do to activate it?
I just went into my normal meditation, my breathing, and then.
With the breathing, is it like Tumo? Is it heavy? Is it light?
I do fours, and then I do 8s. I just do different things. So it wasn't a matter of. It was just a matter of, okay, I'm going to do it. And I did a guided first. Okay. So I did a guided 25-minute or so. And then I did and then I did a 5 or 8-minute one. And I did 2 guided ones. And then I said to myself, I'm just going to do this alone. And I just did the breathing. That was it with binaural tones, whatever. And nothing else, no speaking, nothing, and just did it on my own in the way that I felt it should have been done for myself. That's the best way I can explain it. And
how do you know it was these 2 chakras in particular?
Because I was breathing from them. I've been there before. When you go to try to address a certain chakra, you breathe from there.
Right. So you were working on them in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't anything there was no reason, there was no rhyme. It was, right. I need something within my whatever. I needed to address it. That was it. So I didn't question it. I just do it. And I did it. So there it was. Insane visualization, unlike I hadn't had before. Mind you, I'm not under any influence of anything extra special yummy. So
it's interesting to me. I
don't want to cut you off. I got to say this though about Kundalini, because I feel like this could be like people could easily get this confused. And I think it's very important to differentiate and separate what Kundalini is, right? How it's activated, all the modalities, so to speak, with that. And then getting confused with necessarily a root chakra, for example, because it's very easy to have that visualization. I was thinking about that snake and like the word snake being passed around 1 million times already tonight.
Right.
I have that archetype. So we're Jungian right now, right? So I've got that floating around in my brain too. And then Kundalini is coming to mind. So I could see it maybe, I'm not saying this is like, I just think it could be easily not confused necessarily, but a Kundalini experience for a lot of people, they don't even understand. I didn't understand or I didn't have a reference frame even for it up until maybe like a year or 2 ago, an actual reference frame for it to where I could say, okay, I can listen to this and I can hear anybody trying to explain it or whatever and grasp it. Not completely. I don't need to wrap my head completely around it, but I get it. I absolutely get it with the visualization, with all of it through meditation and all this. So, but I think there's a big difference here, like with Kundalini and just getting in touch with, say, your root chakra, because it goes down like a freaking snake, and that's the feeling I had, the sensation, the whole experience. Now, it wasn't some obvious psilocybin induced, but it was strong for me to speaking about it now in great detail. And
Yeah, I
can
wouldn't recommend the psilocybin route.
no, I'm not either. Oh,
That was mine, but I've had experiences prior to these reference points that you're talking about are very important because like mine, I've had them. I could see now with a really good reference point being my sacral. I was at a waterfall in upstate New York. We used to gather for the Neil Kramer seminars. I'd get a house and we were at a waterfall and it's ice cold. And some of my fellows up there are from the north area and they're really good at getting into that cold, icy water. And so they got me to go in. And I had it was a Kundalini experience. They told me that was what was happening in my, I guess, root, my sacral, 1 and 2, right there at the waist. It was amazing. It was just wonderful.
Aaron, or Snake, can I clarify something real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mean to cut you off because I really want to
No,
hear.
you're fine.
Okay, cool. I have questions and I just want to try to elaborate for everybody listening.
Well, yep, I'm just reference points. Like from there,
frames, yeah.
where to go.
But I'm curious, since you're touching on this again and going further into detail, and anybody else, obviously, in the chat or here, everybody, obviously, fair game here. I'm curious to know. So they told you it was a Kundalini experience, and what was your mental state when you heard that? Where did your mind? I'm curious. Where did your mind go, and how did you kind of process that? And then, you know what I mean? Like, if you know what I'm saying, like. Because I know when if I would have heard that 4 years ago, right, and I'm hanging out, right, and we're doing this thing, and I do it like going through this and jumping into, you know what I mean, doing in your shoes here. I can't say that I would necessarily be able to frame that properly, right? Just like we're talking reference frames or whatever, and like how would in your mind, how are you? If you care to elaborate or don't mind. Sorry, that was a bunch of circles.
Something's happening. I think a lot of people collectively are having these experiences. And when you're looking for, I'm like quietly looking on YouTube for all this information. And it's like so much new age stuff. And mostly what you find is like sex magic and the fucking this and that. And you're like, oh, that's not it. That's not it. But this kind of conversation, I'm listening to Corey. This is good stuff. Like,
but I'm curious. What did you think though when you heard Kundalini in your head? Did you already have a reference frame, Snake, for it?
Well, my crown opened.
Yeah.
When my crown opened, okay, I traveled through the belly of a snake. I'm sitting under the sun, okay, and it just hit me. It came. It was a purple, gorgeous color I've never seen before, and a cymatic flower.
Oh yeah, the flower, yeah.
that came after I traveled through the snake, and I'm like, what? It's just like this. I'm like, this is happening, and then the flower came, and then I could see through someone else's eyes, and I knew it was someone at the base of the mountain. Inside, I could feel their fear and their desperation to get out, and they were looking at some kind of sign, and I was trying to tell them to move. Let me see where you're at, and all of a sudden, I became aware, and I lost it. But the snake is, I'm getting like everything thrown at me. These are these subtle things. Like you said earlier, Corey, you were trained to receive an answer. And I'm guess this is my subconscious, my unconscious, or I don't know if traveling and being around these people have initiated this.
Tuning almost, right? Like it's like you're being tuned to receive this, right?
Yeah, dude. For me, it was, the Ouroboros is just like there all the time. The coiled.
Hey, Snake, did I ever tell you my Kundalini experience?
Yes, but you want to tell us again, please?
Well, the only reason why I got confirmation that it's Kundalini was Jay Parker and Mark Passio were doing a call-in many years ago. Yeah, and
Jay Parker too. I mean,
Yeah, I told him about the story, and Mark and Jay said it was most likely a Kundalini experience, so I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, so I was in a dream state, and it was thunderstorming and sunny and nice at the same time in a desert. And
I love that.
Yeah, and I was standing there, and I looked down to my left arm, and there was a mix between an eel and a snake coiled around my arm. and it bit me on my forearm, and the venom climbed up my arm. And you know, in a scary movie when someone's like prying in a closet or something, and you hear that happen, it was kind of like that, but at a magnitude level. And as soon as it hit my heart, I woke up to the flower of life symbol in my face, with my hands in front of my face. And all of a sudden I was aware of it, and it was aware of me, and it disappeared, and all the power in the house went out, and it sounded like it was
wow.
hailing rocks. It sounded like it was hailing rocks above my head and underneath my bed, like thousands and thousands of, like it was raining hail or something. And yeah, that was pretty weird. So
Nate Johnson
I don't know what it
coming in.
meant.
Did your
Well, we
power
were talking about
actually go
snakes.
out?
Did my power went out in the house, and I thought it was raining or hailing rocks outside. And then the lady down the road told me that was the rattlesnake, the Native American culture, for an invitation. But you know, I don't understand what the eel/snake was either.
The
So
place where you had the snake, you want to look up the Jewish rituals where they wrap themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I get bit, my snake bit me in the ankle where Cleopatra got bit.
that would make sense with the Silk Road, North Africa, Egypt, you know, the Israel, Middle East. That would make sense to have that kind of reckoning, I guess.
But I would actually tell you to get the devices and do it in front of the mirror or do it in meditation and see if you remember doing the wrapping and see if you get more of yourself back.
Oh, wow. Corey, yes, you're talking about your memory of these gods and worshiping.
Exactly. And getting
Nice.
and I think that's fascinating. That's a good point to stop at and kind of take a look around, because I've been fascinated with that, and just like you were talking about with the ancestral, with all of it, it's if this all ties together beautifully. What do you think? Is there like, have you found a way necessarily? Because I've thought about that. Like, I didn't. All right, so this is something I haven't really spoken about because it's just weird and it's something you really don't. I don't know. But in 2012, when I met my biological father for the first time, we were sitting down having breakfast together, and in 2012. And I found out I have a half sister who's 7 years younger, blah, blah, blah. And I'm learning a few things about, or whatever. I'm finally meeting this man, you know what I mean? And he's like, yeah. And then I guess I was like, so lineage. I know that there was an O before the Barski kind of thing before, because I had done some research, and then it was like Shane. The last name was Shane. That was my grandmother's on his mother's side or whatever. And, so I'd done a little bit of research into that. And I was like, okay, it seems pretty Irish and Polish, whatever. Barski, come on. And he was like, yeah, I guess it's Polish Jew. And I remember looking at him, I don't know how I feel about that. And he was like, no. I was like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. Apparently he had some proof that there was like some shit going down. During World War II, there was literally a couple uncles or something like that he had found about that were, one lived and one, I don't know how it worked, you know what I'm saying? But I'm assuming one made it through that shit. It just made me go, oh, this is weird, but whatever. But I don't think it really, touching on like ancestral roots, I guess. I don't know where that came from either. It's just like, it's just weird with I think it's because we were talking about the arm wrap thing, and then I'm like, oh. But sorry.
And oddly enough, it happened in 2012 also. So
Yeah,
it's funny you kept pressing that.
It seems like a bunch of shit we all have had happen to was right around that time. Like all of us collectively here, at least.
Speaking of the ancestors, anybody who's been to a 12-step group will understand that we're all told that our biological parents are just the way to get us into this world. Adoptions or love triangles or whatever don't have the access physically, scientifically to their bloodline. And so it doesn't change who they are. The matrix cannot tell you who you are. And DNA and physical flesh is part of this matrix.
Yeah. Barski, your biological father story. I mean, it's part of same here, right? Meet my biological father. I met my biological father because in 1994, we skipped school to go smoke some weed at a state park at a cliff that I used to hang out with in the summers, where a young boy at the age of 18 jumped off the cliff in a suicide attempt. And me and my friend, out of the 5 of us, me and my friend had climbed down, took 2 hours to get down there. We saved that boy's life. We're the only ones alive. The other rest are dead. But I'm just adding that because this is...
No,
I met my biological father in the ICU. I was standing next to him when we went and visited that boy. And then after my mom saw him and they saw each other, and she decided to tell me that he was my biological father.
That's crazy.
But it's like you're saying, like that's getting your root. So this
like a weird
the idea of rooting is if you can find just a little bit of information. So my father died on Father's Day, from pneumonia. They put him on the machine, which killed him and put him in a coma. And I didn't, from Father's Day 2008 to only last year, right before COVID, I went and visited his grave, and I started doing that. That was just making just that little that forgiveness and just making that contact. It really opened up a whole new world. And it's healing, but
Totally. Man.
I think the universe will take you, if you really want it, to that, even if, like you said, Corey, you might be disconnected. There's a connection. It's there. It'll provide it for you.
Yeah.
7 degrees separation, whatever.
That's so cool. Just like it always goes, like there's always, I don't know. There's definitely something there. I feel, I don't know. It's weird going back to those moments, but and trying, and then like we were just talking about in the other thing, we were just like going back to the roots, and you kept saying the root, and I'm like the root chakra again. There it is. It's just like all over the damn place. It's perfect. It's just littered everywhere. It's beautiful.
I would recommend also taking a look at Ben Balderson's as alchemy perspective, but also his cosmology of the Odin-Vilive. It is the actual tree of life that's not circumcised like the Kabbalah, where it's got the bottom root cut out. It's a whole tree, and that's the salt. That's the crystal, and then that's the dense. And then you could look at his cosmology, and he shows you the ether is a part of it too. And then that plane that we live in now is where the ego is, and alchemy is the process of, this is what Odin did,
right?
By he sacrificed himself to himself.
Yeah, how did he do that? Tell us.
Oh, Ben tells it better, but I listen, and I'm always on my mind. So what he did was his godhead, he activated his godhead, and he thrust it down the well, which is the ancestral well I see every time that I engage in psychedelics. He thrust it down the well, and what did it do? I think it's the oil going down into the salt, and when he pulled it up after hanging on the trees, he got the runes, which is a way.
After hanging on the trees, you skipped over the best part.
Yeah, the Yggdrasil for 9 days.
Yeah,
and he gets the runes, which I see as the runes are the way to interpret that ancestral memory, that we can always have access to our ancestors and who we are through something like the runes.
Yes, very much so. And the Nazis knew that.
How? Okay, can I ask you guys both this question then? How can we, because I don't know, and this is God's honest truth.
I don't either. I'm just learning this. This is my experience. Just try to put it together.
Then I guess this is from both Snake and myself then. Is there a way that we can, besides from like an archetypal reference, like in our, you know what I mean, where we're in meet, like how we have like go to Kundalini, do you know what I mean, like, or this is this, and we're trying to interpret it necessarily, but I feel like a lot of those things will be so definite that there's no doubt.
It doesn't use English or words. It uses archetypes, signs, and symbols. That's how our unconscious speaks to us. It's
exactly.
Creativity. It is the gods.
Right.
And all these things that
actually your subconscious is the gods through a filter of evil.
See
what?
because all right, let's pause with that.
Yeah,
okay.
whoa.
because if we look in that route, because if I want to view the subconscious as almost like an Akashic record of sort, right?
Yeah.
At the same
Yep.
time as I'm very well aware that it's being preyed upon, it's being manipulated constantly, it is just being fed off of, just like it's a vein to be tapped almost.
Where did you learn the subconscious has anything to do with the Akash?
I
didn't.
I put it together just naturally because it feels right. Because it just feels right when I go and the subconscious to me feels like an untapped, like it stores all, like almost like an epigenetic thing too. Okay. So I feel like
Would you get away from science and gross physical matter, please?
I'm trying. Okay. It feels like
It's a great work. You're doing it, buddy.
yeah, it's okay. So
Can we get a definition for the subconscious?
sure. Let's
Let's look it up, like dictionary.
all right, here you go.
Subterranean. I don't know.
not gonna-
I feel like it's between. It's a level between the unconscious and the conscious. It's like not really.
I can share with my interpretation for a certain aspect of subconscious.
But wouldn't it be
is-
nice to get
Yeah.
first a dictionary meaning and then we can speculate?
Yeah,
We'll go from here. All right. So here we are.
yeah.
Go to dictionary.com because that's what we're going to use.
Urban.
Here we go.
Yeah, go to the Urban Dictionary.
Subconscious. Existing or operating in the mind beneath or beyond consciousness.
Waking consciousness.
Correct. Or yeah. Okay. So then we have or imperfectly or not wholly conscious, or as a noun, the totality of mental processes of which the individual is not aware, unreportable mental activities. That's fair. I feel like that's reasonable. All
I
right.
think it's stupid.
I think
It doesn't seem right to
unreportable.
me.
But I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that
reasonable from a
what did it say? That bottom one, the one in noun, unreportable activities.
no.
Unreportable mental activities. The reason why is because subconscious, for people who practice martial arts, is something that's reflective and instinctive, and that is a reportable mental activity.
Also, it's not a repeatable scientific thing. So
Right. You can't measure that shit with science.
measure it, so it's not scientific at all. So that's where I'm going with that. But it's look, for a layman, it's not an awful definition. Obviously, there's a bunch of things in the dictionary we'd fix. So.
Well, I understand. I'm a student of Carl Jung. So we have our waking
Nice.
conscious mind, waking mind that we, throughout the day, your subconscious is going to pick up all the subtleties that we conspiracy theorists talk about, like symbology and flashing lights and all the things that are used to mind control us, right?
Flicker rate. Go ahead. Yeah.
Flicker rate, yes. All of these things that put the mind, the waking consciousness, into a trance-like state, or sometimes epilepsy, right? So that's your waking ego mind. I'm awake.
Nice.
I have a personality. Hello. Now we have your subconscious mind of the muggles. Not everyone has a subconscious, but I did. And I had to go into mine. And the first thing that I found in my subconscious that I was looking for was my animus. So the animus is my inner reflection, inner reflection of my male side. So I'm a female out here as a moon personality. Within, I have a masculine sun personality. And these are the two sides of the brain, the masculine and feminine. Part of me, masculine, is analytical, logical, thinks. Another part of me is feminine, is creative, the I, magi nation, the magical Isis part of me. And then, so you have those two sides of the mind. When those two sides of the mind are no longer arguing, when they're no longer stuck in the subconscious patterns of your abusive childhood, right? When you're not having your mom's voice in your head on repeat, when you no longer are hurt by something that reminds you that happened in your childhood, when you have healed all the monsters and the Freddy Kruegers, then you have to get past the last guardian of the gate. And that's when Kundalini really starts. That's when you start seeing the ineffable, the eternal, and you get let back into heaven. As above, so below. Right now, your soul is in hell or heaven right now as you live and breathe.
Okay, and for everybody in the chat that can't handle that, oh my god, this is too woo woo. Fuck you. Go grow up and seriously.
Well, I don't know how Carl Jung can be seen as woo woo.
People earlier, and I'm not even no, I'm just referring to earlier that Terry, grow up hair, dude. What do you think this is? Seriously, dude. Yeah. Like for real.
Just think of Morpheus. Open or open your mind. Open your mind.
This, that, and the other. I mean, dude, grow up, dude. Seriously. Like, we're all speaking the same language here, so calm down. Anyway, and that's all of this is relevant. So like, and especially with your psychedelic background too, I expect better of you. And like, come on, dude. Seriously.
Thank you, Jenny B. I appreciate you in the chat.
We do appreciate you, Jenny. Seriously, thank you. You're great. You're always hanging out. I really appreciate you. Anyway, sorry. So
it is often that I get flack when I talk about things that to me aren't even that amazing.
It's not even that crazy. I don't understand. What, you hear a couple things and you see somebody's appearance and you automatically jump to conclusions to think,
oh my gosh, yes, that happened to me in LA. Everyone thought I was a bad witch because I wore black, and I'm like, they don't even know what goth is out here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of things that we don't need to deal with that, and I don't give a shit. You guys leave if you want to hang out, be decent, but if you don't, just there's a
don't be a mental midget, people.
Seriously, grow up if your thyroid can handle it. I don't know. Anyway, Jesus. So all these things, like, I wanted to get a little bit further with you into like healing some ancestral, if you know of ways to. Okay, so how Snake did that rad, activation and all that. I mean, that was a whole. To break that down, that would take me a good amount of time, and I'm not even going to try to do that right now. So I just kind of want to go into maybe how personally people can if they wanted to maybe heal some ancestral things that maybe like were passed down, like let's say like a story you've heard throughout your family that maybe you know to be true or blown up, but doesn't really matter. The point is there's a scar there, right? Or there's something that needs to be healed. I'm not saying this is the case in my life or anybody's life. I'm just saying
I get it.
It's fascinating, and it's fun to think about and entertain these things. What would you like? Is there a way to do that? Like you do, like, is there a way to address like a certain scar per se? Like we all have a bunch of scars, I'm sure, like personal shit that we don't talk about. That's deep shit. And if we're like, let's say I wasn't comfortable with like the fact that I was sexually abused as a kid, right? Let's say that, I'm trying to really work through something like that. What could somebody do? And that's, I'm not saying specifically, but you know what I mean? Like in the general, how would you recommend addressing something like that? If it's even
healer, heal thyself, number one.
Amen.
And I would never go straight to an ancestor to heal my own wounds. And I would never attempt to heal an ancestor who's in hell without being healed myself already. The Buddhists, so that you feel better, there's been people for thousands of years now in the Buddhist tradition that go to the hell realm and feed the hungry ghosts with their light. It's a type of practice that the Buddhists do out of compassion for our ancestors, for even, our great grandparents, some of us. Right. So the way out is in. You have to go into your subconscious. And that's where I started saying the first thing I met in my subconscious was my inner male, my animus. And he looked like a vampire. He was very, very spooky, and he couldn't even talk. He was so feral. And I was like, wow, that's inside of me. And that developed through my horrifying childhood and through all those years of having old hag or sleep paralysis. So I'd been haunted my whole life. And around 16, 17 is when I started looking for the creature within, because that's what Jung said. If you have a shadow, look within.
Right.
So I did. But then I found there's a marked difference between an evil entity, demon, and the shadow I had within, who was this non-verbal, like a succubus vampire. And I started working with him. And the weirdest way I worked with him, because I was always into gender switching, because of Hermes, I'm sure, my spirit guide, Hermaphrodite, hermaphrodite. And when I was 16, I did Rocky Horror for quite a few years. And that was all about sweet transvestites. So, and I dated many men that would wear women's clothing. It was a thing. Anyway, so I would take my boyfriend and I would put him in a slight hypnosis, and I would bring his inner female out, because I didn't know anything about self-hypnosis. So with the boyfriend, I would work through their inner female, and that would help me mirror and understand my inner male. And then I got him to the point where he was verbal and we could talk. And I have a whole video series about this on YouTube.
So, wow. Okay. I get it, and I can totally look at it with eyes that don't, squint and go, oh, this is stupid, and throw it out, because gender, there's trigger words in there all over. It's laced with trigger words. They're mine.
We are in this time where we need to learn about the masculine and feminine within, or we will not survive as a species.
There's a war of the sexes right now, so it would be important.
Exactly. And the fact that the so many things that you just said were trigger words to so many people. Right? It's
Pew, pew, pew.
like a minefield of and I'm going, wow, okay, keep going. Yeah, just blow it all up, because what's the, honestly, how else are you supposed to look at something like this? So anybody in the chat that feels uncomfortable with that, express yourself. Anybody or whatever feels awkward with that, express yourself, because it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Oh, button for awkward.
There you go.
Oh, we're not plugged in anymore. I'm using the crap setup. Sorry.
I don't know how we set up. It was great.
Did you feel awkward? Did I make you feel awkward that you have a chick inside you that you've been fantasizing about all these years?
Now you just made me feel awkward about it.
Good. I've done my job.
There you go. Yep. Now I'm squirming, clearly, in my seat. Look at me.
What does she look like?
Bulby. Wherever he is, there he is. She. Bulby. It's transvest. Yeah. It's an androgynous light bulb. Get over it, you fucking weirdos. Like Baphomet. But I was thinking Baphomet too. That almost that's where my mind went right away to, for some reason. Not why does my mind go there, but so many minds go there. Well,
I don't mean to destroy your vision of Baphomet,
but
the thing is about Baphomet, he was really just a teaching puppet. He's an amalgamation of many different parts, like a puzzle to teach one mystery.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes total sense. And it turns into a different puzzle piece for a different mystery.
Depending upon your perception, and if your soul is in heaven or hell, as above, so below, right now in real time.
I'm gonna cut. Now I'm gonna get dangerous, and I'm gonna throw the whole heaven and hell thing at you. Because what the fuck? Like, from a perspective of and coming from like being raised with dogmatic bullshit being shoved down my throat and all kinds of things, it's so easy just to toss that fucking term aside and the whole entire concept and just let it fucking rot. Right.
If I had done that when I was 16, I never would have learned anything.
I understand, and that's fair enough. And you come from a Jehovah's Witness background. I'm not trying to bring that up, but you do. And it's like
that's what I'm saying. I was in a cult, and they made me scared of anything.
Right. And they did the same. They tried to do the same thing to me. And it worked to a degree, but we all break out. or a lot of us do. The thing is I guess the whole heaven and hell thing. Did you? I know me personally, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But being raised with that shit, it's just like, okay, really, I can look at the concept of hell, and I don't know how you guys feel about this too, but like the concept of hell to me is just like a concept, and it can be entertained, but I don't necessarily subscribe 100% to the fact that it's the place necessarily described in the scriptures in the Bible.
So the concept of the Christian hell is modeled after Dante's Inferno.
Right. I mean, and that's what our mind goes, right? That's our reference.
Your mind does.
Well,
mine doesn't.
No, I understand completely. I mean, as a general, I'm speaking from like a societal, cultural, postmodernist, whatever standpoint, right?
Dante's Inferno.
We can throw Dante's Inferno in there for the reason why we have the mental picture that most of society in Western culture possesses today, right?
Yes.
Responsible for it. We get that's all right. So moving on from there, I guess, and to more. Okay, so it's hard for a lot of people to break out of that little prison, right? Because it's
a lot of people don't believe in God at all.
That's what I'm saying.
That's sad.
But hey,
at
the same time, think about it like this, though. I don't think they understand necessarily, and I feel like I'm not making apologies, but I will say this: like, I don't think they understand God isn't what they thought. The whole concept has been
right.
That it's confusion. I believe that they know that God exists. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an undeniable kind of thing.
There is a God now. It's themselves.
Right.
The Godhead.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to feed the Gnostic thing here? I mean, we can go a bunch of different directions, but it is what it is. I can't. I haven't done enough research to even speak upon Nag Hammadi texts or biblical even that much. So I can't even jump to these spots. It's not fair.
It's my speculation that God knocks on every heart door, and you either answer or you don't.
I like that, and I think.
Don't
you think that's fair, Snake? That it's a knock on the door as opposed to, it's up to you. It's up to you to respond.
Well, I think you can knock on God's door. I mean, I missed the birth of my son because I was in a crack house. Came home, found out that I missed the birth. I had this experience, which I know what it is now, but I felt like I got hit in the heart with a sledgehammer, fell to the floor, and said, "God, make it stop." 10 days later, I was broken homeless out in LA, which launched me on this amazing hero's journey. So I think what that was my what would you say? My emotional heart just opening up, because I was so closed to those crack and cocaine and all those drugs do to you.
Fragmented. And then I don't mean to. I'm not just.
No, you're fine.
It feels like because the fragmentation, and then you're able to at that moment. Because if we've all you really had that moment there, and I've had moments similar. You know what I mean? Of where it's like or almost a soul fragmentation, or a moment, the catalyst for those fragments and those pieces to be integrated back and whole again, to become whole again. Do you know what I mean? Does that make
sense? It's kind of like a redemption. What I found in those who have gone through this, it's almost like a Kundalini awakening. When you get out of having a hard drug in you all the time, you kind of like an egg cracks on your head, and your perception opens, and you cry, and it's like a baptismal. That's what
God is not always good things. Sometimes it's endurance of suffering to reach one.
Yes.
It's the same concept with demons, everybody. It's literally, you can view them in two different ways. You can view them as you and freeing you from all this and all the hell and all the awful things from life, or you can view angels as it's the same concept in multiple different religions and blah 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 blah. But I mean, that's essentially what it is. So it is all in the humans can.
The heart is where it's at, though. I mean, I learned about the torus field that we put out. That's 6 feet radius from the heart,
right?
And look what they're doing. As soon as they came out with that 6 feet apart, and I look on the floor, and the first sticker I saw, it had 666 and a person in the middle of it. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. Not only are they invoking the carbon atom, and they're demonized the carbon, what we're made of, but they've also are teaching us not to be in each other's radius of that heart chakra that is so.
Well, it's all about
That's actually in
inversion.
Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, the aura is about that far, not just the heart, but the actual, your whole aura.
Right.
So when I heard that, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
So is it like a vortex of low auras that something's feeding off of now?
Oh, well, any generation of fear to generate fear is for food, for the beast, if you will. And I don't believe that a lot of people that are stuck in psychology and the thinking mind don't understand that evil is an actual force separate from the human race. It can integrate into a human, and a human can be taken over by it and become a demon, right? So you're either doing the alchemy of upstairs or the alchemy of downstairs. You're either turning into an angelic or a demon, one or the other.
You really think that, huh?
I don't think it. I've seen it. I've experienced it.
Okay.
Dude, that sounds hilarious. And you literally sounded like
in Bolerson's. You guys check, and I'm
Snake. We might have to.
I mean, this is the cosmology he put it.
How are we losing him? How are we not? Everybody heard that was hilarious, and it was.
Am I breaking up?
Dude, you literally you sounded like this. No way, man! It was amazing. Sorry, everybody heard that. That was great. But can you talk again? Say
yeah, she's talking exactly where I'm at, and I'm really looking at this, and that's either that great work is that ego, and then tying the ether and the dense, which would be the angelic or the demons. And what's so great about Ben's teaching is he goes, I don't look at it as evil or good, but everyone's got an agenda. So an angelic would be more of a knowledge, and the wisdom would be the dense beings. And he recognizes these beings in our myths and our lore, these gods, whatever. So, but just going with what you said, Corey, I don't know. I'm open to it, but I got to do this work. Am I going to end up an angel or a demon? I don't know.
Maybe you already have. Maybe the wheat has already been separated from the chaff, and we're at the last chapter.
Yeah, I'm considering all that stuff because the way things are going right now, it's really where I'm at.
Well, I'm not just considering it. I warned about it for years. And then finally, this last year, I said, this is it, kids. And then it happened. So that video is entitled Persephone and the Art of War.
Nice. I'm getting on that.
So Corey, I'm curious then. So how can we how would
phosphorus light
being able to look in and being like, what are some techniques that some of us can work on? For example, like if some people practice meditation or whatever, what would you recommend the next step would be to I'm not saying to call on ancestors, but I feel like this is all connected. Well, I guess, what are some of the best healing modalities that you've come to use that you can easily kind of spread out to us, per se, knowing kind of the level that we're on, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, most people need to heal their ego, and that will lead to flipping and opening up the heart chakra, and then you can hear God on stereo. You know which way to go, even if you're not clairaudient, you can hear it. But David, I sent you a private tweet of something I would love for you to read this evening before we're done. It's called The Lament of Hermes, and I think it is something that we all need to hear right now about this time that we're in.
For sure.
So healing my ego, I went through 12 steps. I went through codependency, and John Bradshaw, he's the one who coined the term inner child. And John Bradshaw taught me how to rescue my inner child. And Laurie Cabot, the witch who studied Carl Jung, taught me how to rescue my inner male. So I rescued, I'm the queen, right? I rescued the king and I rescued the baby. And that's what Isis would have done. So you understand the baby, between the masculine and feminine, the baby is your third eye, is your radio, is your tunage. And that's what allows you to see, or is veiled, where you're seeing through a glass darkly. Most people these days are seeing through a glass darkly, meaning they have experiences and opinions lodged within the subconscious that color everything they see and do. Once you can cleanse those filters and walk through the doors of perception, then you can get to Krishna consciousness, cosmic consciousness. This is the consciousness of the yogis and the Buddhas, and it is our goal to have as many people enlightened as possible and to be done with the bodhisattva vow and no longer need to reincarnate.
So let's stop. Let's actually touch on something really quickly then here. So what you subscribe to then, the whole reincarnation thing, and it's funny to look at not funny, but it's a fun juxtaposition putting the Greeks or wait, was it? I'm pretty sure when the Egyptians, they would be mummified because they're like, we do not want to go into that bardo. We want to stay here chilling. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not at all what they were doing, sweetie. They're
no, but hold on. I'm speaking from like when you look at and I don't. This is just what it appears to be.
That's just not what we were doing. We're time travelers.
Okay. Well, that's
so we had canopic jars. We had little jars that we put our organs and stuff in. And when we reincarnate, the ancient Egyptian, within our energy body, those canopic jars come alive again and bring us back our essence, and we can remember. That's how we reincarnate.
That's what I meant from an Egyptian standpoint, because if you look at how they handled their dead compared to, let's say, a Oriental or Eastern standpoint back then, right? Where it's like, burn it. With the Hindus, they burned it onto the next, right? Get it going. There's no hanging around here. You got to get your soul back going, go through what you need to go through, work what you need to work through, and you get your ass back here and reincarnate. Whereas the Egyptians were like, fuck that shit. That's what it appears to be, at least when we look at it, with the mummification of the royal or whatever they were, what they viewed as royalty and the leaders, pharaohs. They were more of, with the mummification, what it appeared to be, and what the deciphering of the cartouches and all that reveals apparently is that they didn't want to. They're like, hold up, we don't want to necessarily, don't burn us that quick, kind of thing. Like if they went through those rites, because
they are master teachers sent here from the planet Sirius, so their souls came here.
Technology back to with the.
Well, their souls came here, not spaceships. Their souls came here to incarnate, to teach the Earthlings how to be Earthlings. So
that's your macabre, isn't it? Yeah.
But the ancient Egyptians that I speak of, I've never read of really in books. I've gotten hints and clues, but most of these pharaohs that I read about are really bad people. So my memory is that in case gods and goddesses walking on the earth with people. That's the high vibration we were in the Egypt I remember.
You know where you came from didn't you hear you say that you know where you came from, your soul?
My soul came to earth through the Sirius star system, Sirius B in particular, but I believe I'm originally a seed from Andromeda.
Okay.
Hey, Corey, I have a question.
I don't know. that doesn't like inform my spirituality. It's just neat to think about.
Yeah, I heard you mention it once. That's what I was asking.
Hey, Corey, I have a question.
Please.
We on a previous topic, we were talking about good and evil. What would you say to someone like myself or others who have a connection with the Creator and prays to Mother Earth and watches the sunset, but yet at the same time is intrigued and motivated by like doomy, sludgy metal, very aggressive, very dark? How can how can one be tapped and entertained with something of darkness if you consider it that to still have a connection with the creator? What is that?
I've
Nice.
often wondered that deeply myself, having many ex-boyfriends who liked dark music. So I wondered, I was like, well, that's obviously vibration lowering. But then I asked, do they have a problem with depression? Is this a way in which they can express something that they're not expressing in other ways that might be healthier?
No, for myself, it's more or less of a warrior. It's a primal. Get your feet, get dirty, be on your belly like a snake, and be a warrior with fangs.
Root.
Well, I mean, if life is calling you to be that warrior, then you need to go with your calling. But I also think we might be experiencing here the difference between a girl and a boy, because I don't feel those things. I'm a girl.
Then there's that. Jim, what are you doing, dude?
Hey,
I had to do it.
I was just checking. I think we lost
Sorry, Dad. I
our
mean,
stream.
Dad. We did.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
did.
what I was looking at.
Live on YouTube. I can see it.
I've got the circle of death. Wait, what is it called? It's the circle of death.
That's what it was. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, I think it's my Wi-Fi picking something up. I think maybe
Your wifey?
my wifey.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'll log on to your wife later tonight.
What?
Yeah. Oops. Wi-Fi.
You don't know the
I find it-
password.
I find it fascinating to Carl Jung being like, Corey, I have had this feeling because I did the 12 steps like intense. Like, you got to know, like, doesn't get any more intense than when I did it and the way I was trained. But I feel like I've done all this already. And here I am. And I'm like, what is this? And then, I mean, the way Carl Jung was presented to me, I've been aware of him for a long time. And then we've talked about Kundalini. We've talked a lot of these things. But for the shadow, so I'm like, I know this is, I'm out in the middle of the freaking woods, in nature, and it's just me. And Shadow said, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, who are you?" It's like, oh shit, this is repressed, like, characteristics or who we are, right, from society.
No,
It's
not
not the
exactly. Have you never
Okay.
heard of Satans or devils or the way to go? All of these, there's a coyote, there's tricksters and
Yes.
evil in nature.
Yes. So thank you. Cool.
You're welcome.
No, because this is what I sense. I think the woods are checking us out. They're like,
Yeah, the woods
who's up
watch
here?
back. But the woods are full of ancestors too, especially where I came from, Native Americans. Throw a
Yeah.
stone, you hit a dead Indian.
That's here. And so I've got to discern a lot of this. Like, my son's talking about spirits. My older son, when we first came here, he got pushed by something.
I remember
God,
that day.
You were there, Jonathan.
Can we?
And then my own, like, I know that there's shadow here, but I feel like I've done this work, but is there something else going on? And this goes back to the participating in magic, and not really, if you don't have a fellowship or anyone to speak to about a lot of these experiences, you're in a lot of trouble. You can get in trouble real fast.
Or you could be a natural intuitive magician and not need a tribe.
What snake?
Well, I am. I'm also a shaman. And
That's
I'm not a shaman like the shaman. It's just a natural. I'm not gonna be one. I'm just saying. These are intuitions and stuff. But how do I start to work with this Carl Jung shadow? Like we talked about, maybe journaling, just reading the material. I'm feeling benefits of a lot of the meditation and stuff that I'm picking up again.
It's just like the reading, right? Like, I mean, besides, you know what I mean? Because that does a lot in listening. Because Snake and I were talking about this before the show. It's like we've both, just really randomly kind of been off on this, not even spoken about. Like, what, you two? All right. Well, what the awesome. Well, yeah, because it's always like that. And that's just the way it always is. And it's beautiful.
My sense is that it's unconscious. First, this is the work that needs to be done, just like you said. If we are going to have any hope for our civilization or whatever, it is to do this work and to do it to your best ability. And maybe if it's just one of us who's successfully become a whole being or whatever, I don't know if that's the goal.
All of us. all of us need to do that, but because we all have to do our own homework. But in the chat, something very interesting from Mahalia.
Malia,
Hi.
higher.
Okay, so actually that makes a lot of sense, Cora, except that I've seen and found the Andromeda, and she's very much a ship. And I have to agree with you. When I asked, can I please see Andromeda, I actually ended up on a ship. And I'm like, I don't believe in spaceships. I know this is a Merkaba. I know this is a soul car. This is not a spaceship. And I met my father there. And he said, well, we can't go to Andromeda exactly because Andromeda is halfway in the heaven realm, which is extremely high frequency. And I think it's probably the only planet in our solar system, non-scientifically speaking, that is partially in heaven. So it's like a partially perfected place. And that's why it's impending upon Earth. So I don't know if you look at all that crap, but I glance at it because I want to know about Andromeda, but it's coming closer to Earth.
Does fasting and light energy have something to do with whittling away food and losing weight? Have something to do with lightning? I don't know what you call it. Just, you know what I mean? Does fasting have something to do with the light energy?
So we have two physical places, scientifically speaking, in the body that we actually have phosphorescent, actual light. That is in the heart chakra and the third eye chakra. When you meditate, I actually bring the energy down from the love realms that you cannot deplete them. They're the love realms. We can call it heaven. But I bring the energy down through my crown chakra, through visualization. I am a Reiki master. It's easier for me, but also just being intuitive is easier. And you bring it down all the way in through the third eye, into the heart. And actually there's a Carly Simon song that talks about this, drinking in all the white light coming down from the heavens. And that's what we do. That's our medicine. That's our food. And I also suggest living in the sunshine is very helpful to me in particular.
Sun your
But
balls.
you want to grow the light within. That's a light worker. And that's growing your aura too. And then like high magician people, the Mason people, all those people, they do something called the middle pillar. That exercise works.
The great ritual. Yep. Used it.
So but it all, I mean, a lot of it comes from Buddhism or ancient Egypt, and it's all just been taken by the rich.
And just, yeah. Yep. Exactly.
But also, David, I wonder if you got that private tweet from me.
I didn't look yet, but I will. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Jim. You look like
they can't hide this stuff. It's inherent in all of us. It's just gonna come out, ain't it?
It's latent. You're exactly right. It feels like it's just waiting.
David, do you ever watch the sunset?
I do actually frequently because I have a great western horizon. Almost every night I see the sunset.
Yeah. Do you watch it with no sunglasses and just stare straight into the sun?
Yeah, but I know not to, obviously, when it's like high noon. You know what I mean? I only look at certain times. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I do that too, and you know, people can apply themselves by just saying a prayer to whatever is something beyond themselves. Just the attempt is the first step, and you know, for instance, you can use what else somebody else used. Mine is thank you, Mother, for being beautiful today. Thank you, Father, for creating Mother. And I just say, Mother, you're beautiful today. Thank you for this beautiful day. And then, Father, thank you for creating Mother.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, and it's applicable to anybody that's willing and wanting to better yourself spiritually. That's the best, easiest way I can sum it up. In all reality, it sounds corny. I don't give a shit. It is what it is.
That's the thing about thinky brain intellectual people, is that they don't remember the inner child, and God talks to the inner child. He's not going to talk to your ego.
No, why would he? Because the purest form is going to be the inner child, in my opinion.
If people can't get over their ego chip of I'm a big adult and I know what's best for me, if they can't get past that, then they're not going to hear God.
We all know those people.
And so an ego death isn't a bad thing. If it's already initiated and you feel like it's happening, what do? Just let it unfold?
Well, I don't think you'll know that you're having an ego death until you're completely crazy and already over it. I don't think most people know during the ego death that they're actually having it.
Okay, cool.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
crazy.
That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
Is actually my ego depths were epic because I was born psychic, because in all my past lives I've been cultivating my third eye. So mine was not like Gopi Krishna and the other experts have said it is. I literally couldn't understand who I was as a person anymore. I did not remember my name. I was in such a high state of consciousness. I was completely out of touch with being human.
Nice.
And
Cool.
it didn't
I'm pretty
happen for a day or
confused.
two. It happened for a month at a time. And it's happened over 16 times, and I have no control. So I can't do regular Buddhist practices, breathing, and all of I meditate because I have to, but I don't do anything extra because I will go upstairs and I won't be here. And it really, I mean, I can't tell you, it's such a malady to have, like an illness.
Like you almost like lose yourself when that happens. Like what do you mean? Like a malady, meaning like when you try, because you don't need to enter these realms, but when you try to, that's what it sounds like to me.
I don't try. This is spontaneous Kundalini awakenings. And I had my first one at 30. And Jesus said, welcome to the club. First one at 30.
Huh.
That's how I get through this, is because I can hear them and they help me and they coach me. And they're like, okay, first you're going to meet John the Baptist. Let's learn his lessons. And I went through the Christians. I went through the Hindu. I went through the Greeks. I went through all of their schools.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
I do have videos about this that actually explain it in a long form.
Well, I got your thing here. I don't unless you need to sign off that we don't know about, and you need to tell us that you need to go. We'll go. But I didn't know we had a heart out. If you have a heart out, but I do.
You can stick around if you know, since if you guys want to. Since
yeah, I want to make sure that
start.
So I want to make sure that you're like, we're not keeping you past a certain time, because we didn't even talk about that either. We're good. I just want to make sure you're good. Because you asked me to look at the Twitter thing, and I'm just being outright instead of typing it in some chat.
You're so thoughtful.
Anyway, I'm going to read what you sent me, though, from Twitter here. So it's Hermes, Lament of Hermes.
Nice.
Thrice great. Okay, so darkness will be preferred to light. Death will be thought more profitable than life. No one will raise his eyes to heaven. The pious deemed insane, and the impious wise. The madman thought brave, the wicked esteemed as good. As to the soul and the belief that it is immortal, or may attain to immortality, as I have taught you. All this they mock, persuade themselves it is false. No word of reverence or piety, no utterance worthy of heaven and of the gods of heaven will be heard or believed. I don't know, I probably read that wrong, and I apologize.
No, you did a great job. Yay, Gemini.
Oh, yeah, right.
Kind of good.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Listen to that 2 days ago. We go, Connor.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
I want to read it again. All right, so darkness will be preferred to light. Death will be thought more profitable than life. No one will raise his eyes to heaven. The pious deemed insane, and the impious wise. The madman thought brave, the wicked esteemed as good. As to the soul and the belief that it is immortal, or may attain to immortality, as I have taught you. All this they mock, persuade themselves it is false. No word of reverence or piety, no utterance worthy of heaven and of the gods of heaven will be heard or believed. That's heavy.
That's Hermetics.
Yeah. So we don't know, and for whatever, for the people that don't know, like Hermes is still kind of that mysterious. Nobody. I mean, there's no documentation that this person ever walked the earth, kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't necessarily know all the lore behind it, but it doesn't.
Well, he has hundreds of statues all over the world. So.
And he's represented universally through, like you said, what was it? The Caduceus.
11/11, you guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It is 11/11 on 313.
It's 111 right here.
111.
I had to tie it back to the beginning.
Pi Day now.
Good job. Good
I
catch.
got that tattooed on my arm in 2011. I was like, what am I doing? God.
All good.
Remember the spirit, aren't they?
Hey Corey,
Mm.
I was actually given a Hanuman bracelet. I don't know if you're aware of the Hindu god Hanuman at
Yeah, he's
all.
the monkey man. And I always
Yeah.
call him Humanamanana. Do 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 do. Humananan. Do 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 do.
No, you don't get.
Love
That'll
that
help
song.
you break your ego. I would go for a little bit of Ganesh too, my friend.
Do the Ganesh? Yeah, you could do that dance of Ganesh. Who I think it's Lon Milo the cat in Low Magic talks about that when he blessed his first deck of or he blessed all of his decks of the tarot cards that he designed or whatever. It's pretty rad story. I like Lon Milo the cat, but that's a digression.
I'm so impressed, Corey,
You ain't kidding.
that when you share about you experiment, you allow any of these gods, or you said Jesus, John the Baptist, you let them all, Greek mythology, you did it all. And I remember breaking out of that Christian kind of, I was afraid. I was like, I was so curious about so much of the, our
God
myths and
fearing,
legends.
not God loving, right? God
Yeah,
fearing,
God-
fear God.
Nice. And yes, to be God loving is to like look at it all and experience it all. I mean, oh my God. Well done. I mean, yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you can see that from this disjointed chat. Thank you.
Well, I encourage it now. I mean, I remember being real close minded on that and kind of afraid, God fearing, like you said. But there's something there you're talking
Well,
about.
I think it's definitely the ego that has the defense mechanism that says everything has to be physical so that I can control it. Because the moment the ego sees that there's something bigger than it knows it's going to die.
Yes.
Dude, my ego must be just. I don't know.
I was getting confused out there, man. I'm just trying to learn a little bit about it and on other people's opinions. So much new age weird shit out there. It's just hard to find. It's just
It's almost impossible to find. I wouldn't be the person I am unless I found my guru.
Hey Corey, well, how come it seems as if the numbers of people who have this kind of mindset or just openness to it is very dwindling or low? Is it just there's a select few of people who actually have a spirit amongst these simulators, or what?
Sims.
NPCs.
Sims is my favorite game.
Oh no, Lemmings.
So yeah, some people do describe them as non-player characters.
Or Hylic.
Tulpas, maybe?
Oh, these people are not tulpas.
No,
Okay.
People.
But your ex-girlfriend might be one in your head right now, a tulpa.
God, no, don't bring them up. They're in the past. Some other sucker married them, not.
That was
Did you hear that, David?
Yeah, that was sharp. Damn.
What was the question?
What was the question, Jonathan?
Is there some people that are just flesh bots and have no spirit, and we just interface with them?
Okay, so if we can say, let's for a minute follow me here, that the cycle of time started somewhere in ancient Egypt. That's when a bunch of the souls incarnated. Over the incarnations, you either grew towards the sun or towards the darkness, and you atrophied and became a demon.
Whoa.
Growing towards the sun. Now, many of the people, as we can see in Buddhism, there's two different paths. You become a guru or a great person or whatever. You can go on to other places, which there are, or you can stay here and help. If you stay here and keep incarnating in these cycles to help, you're called a bodhisattva. And they take a vow every life to keep reincarnating until every sentient being has reached enlightenment.
Are you serious?
Yes. I believe we are now at the time of graduation, and I believe this very deeply with all of my heart and soul. And that means that the genie curse of the bodhisattvas will also be lifted, and this whole dimension is going to change. Even what we call physical will shift. And I don't mean in a transhumanistic kind of way, because you'll find the more you study the dark and the light, They both have the same narrative, but one's upside down, and that's the dark one. So are we going to become transhumans, or are we going to become fully human, which would to be a Buddha or anointed Jesus Christ? All of these words mean that you found the light within, you've been blessed, and it is a transformation. It is alchemy from within, and it does change even your soul signature, the vibration of your very soul signature. And that's why we incarnate on earth, because you don't have to, but having the seeds incarnate on earth, you go from lead to gold, and that's alchemy. And I can explain this a little bit more through Solomon's temple in the Bible. All of those bricks are part of Solomon's temple. That's a metaphor for your light body, your Merkaba, your soul car. When your soul car can get up to heaven, you can quit. You can go there and then go on to higher realms. But here what we have is the people who would never graduate because they never made it past. They never grew towards the sun, and the masters. And so I'll bring it back to Led Zeppelin, who said, there will come a time where all will be revealed, right? And that's the time we're in. We're in a time of masters and those who are lost to the darkness.
I'm gonna ask.
Very well put.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was nice. And it also, like where you went with the Solomon's Temple and the great work and all that stuff, it's very easy to see how you can view it through a Masonic lens and see how they frame that all up with the great work and everything. You know what I mean? And just Solomon's Temple, the whole thing. But you can go, if you want to look at it from a magical, the Goetia, all that goes back to Solomon.
And Solomon was the first Abrahamic to raise demons and curse his entire bloodline. So I've never done Somalic magic.
Yeah, then there's that. I'm not trying to get down. I'm not trying to call on some goetic madness.
I heard it was very powerful.
Very powerful.
People that
Mason seemed to like him, right?
Yeah, but really, is Darth Vader powerful? You tell me, who's more powerful, Darth or Luke?
It just
But
takes a lot longer.
Darth has physical power, but he is uncontrollable of his emotions.
Yeah,
Well, I would call him a wasteoid, like an alcoholic, like an absentee father that we all had.
draining, just sucking and draining and sucking and draining and just being useless. Yes, totally.
Yeah.
To the archons, if you want to frame it up that way.
Sure, and some of our parents were archons, if you want to put it that way, because you got to play with this. You've got to see your own life myth and the myth.
Right. And it resonates very, very strongly with me. So, I don't know.
Most archontic people I've met has been in family, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to divorce my family for the most part. And a lot of clients over the years, thankfully, when the family is toxic and they're not going to change their patterns, then you find a different family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. You can do that.
And that's real love. And that's what people don't understand. They think if you abandon somebody, you're being evil. But actual true love is to first love yourself in a very caring and loving way. But the ego says, well, I love myself through new tennis shoes. I love myself through diamonds. And these are physical things that aren't love.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. It is. Yeah, people get super easy confused. It's just ridiculous.
And let's say goodnight to Jenny B. Thanks for being here.
Are you out of here, Jenny? Okay, we'll see you soon. Good to see you too.
Oh, look at the chat. Wonderful.
Yeah, Jenny comes from alchemists. She has a salamander on her coat of arms.
That's badass.
Wicked. That's
Yeah.
wicked. So
Very
do you know what element the salamander is?
Fire.
That's right. You get a cookie.
You can thank Wayne McCroy and Manly P. Hall for that. I was just listening to him.
Dude, we want to talk about synchronicity, man. When I went on my woods walk, I took a picture of a salamander.
Whoa. Can we look up the medicine of salamander?
Yeah, please do.
Please.
Look up salamander shamanic meaning. That's the best way to look it up.
I don't
should
know
have
if this
Google
is a
Chrome.
salamander, but here's the picture. I don't think it is. I could be a dummy.
Where'd you see him in the creek?
Yeah.
And then yeah, he's probably. They don't have
They-
scales. They have.
They go through an
skin.
amphibious phase, you know, like they walk on the land eventually after their water phase.
Which one, Kurt? Like, I don't know what.
Salamander. Spirit animals is fine. The second one, number 2. Yeah, that should be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Never picked the first result.
I was about to say.
Always the second one.
Ooh, pretties.
All
Thank
right.
you for looking this up. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we got salamander meaning and messages. In this case, salamander symbolism is asking if you are using your time wisely. In other words, this spirit animal message insists that it is vital to make the best use of your time and to balance the opportunities that are available to you. Moreover, you can make the changes necessary to seize the moment. Alternatively, salamander.
Carpe diem, bitch.
Here we go. Seize it. Salamander symbolism, similar to the assholes. Salamander symbolism, similar.
Hey, that's a good rap song. We need it.
I'm about to say, similar to the butterfly, declares the arrival of a transformation. However, it also implies that we will have help with this change from a source somewhere outside of ourselves. In particular, this aid could come through an unexpected person or unique resource. Even though this assistance is temporary and will only stay as long as needed, so make sure that you accept it. Ooh. Occasionally, that's like knocking on your heart shit. Answer it.
That's
Occasionally,
right.
the salamander meaning is a message about the need for detoxification.
Very good.
For-
Wait, were you just talking about fasting?
Yeah, and well, the whole purpose of why I ran into it was because I was patrolling a path that I wanted to use to teach classes, and it was about detoxification, meaning walking through the creek with your feet, detoxing from your
Wow.
feet, and
Well-
and yeah.
It's obvious that the salamander wants to help you with this. So I would get a salamander fetish. Do you understand what I mean by that?
No.
So something that looks like a salamander to you, it could be a crystal that's shaped like one or a stuffed doll, whatever you want, but you've got to take it with you on your path.
Yeah, I mean, I walked that creek for 3 hours. It's 200 acres, and out of all the randomness of that creek I was walking, I see that one salamander.
And so that's the salamander spirit, not just, you understand. It's
Yeah,
like the
it's
salamander
it's-
family saying
It
we're
was
gonna
still
help you.
cold for it to be out on the rock, and it didn't move when I got close to it. It was just bizarre. It's just still too cold for something like that to come out.
And also, I would say bare feet should be part of your process there with the people to get them grounding.
Oh, well, it's more or less to get them to tuck a rifle and actually get their kit dirty instead of, fantasizing about it.
I'm always thinking
Men-
from a pagan perspective, like you're going on nature.
Oh, mine is too, but it's more paint and battle swords.
Boy stuff. That's awesome. You go for that. It's great.
That's not
We
boy
need
stuff.
it.
Anybody can be a warrior.
Well, I
Females can be
understand
warriors.
that,
Yeah.
but I would rather be protected by a strong man than do that. I'm a very traditional girl. We don't have those anymore.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah, we do.
a thing of
I
the
like-
past. Unless she's hot, blind, and Amish.
Is your wife, Jim? Jim, did you say your wife is an old-fashioned girl?
Yeah, my girlfriend's pretty old fashioned.
Okay.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Do you ever wear their clothes?
Whoa,
What?
I just said it to freak you out.
that did freak me out.
No, we're not like your exes. We don't get into that kind of shit.
Oh
I
my
got
God.
over it. I learned what a real man was.
Hey, but Rocky Horror Picture Show was a cool exposure as a young kid to something that's out of the norm.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, let's be real. Who doesn't?
Well, I believe that if you watch the film again, Rocky Horror, there's so much in it that's going on right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's got a mad scientist, it's got aliens, it's just so familiar.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna say it.
Tim Curry is probably one of the best actors out there that doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah,
Legends,
I loved him in
Darkness.
Legends as
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Dallas
Yes,
Hades.
yes.
Absolutely.
Terrifying.
Loved by the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. That's medicine.
I wanted to be Jack the Forest Boy when I was a kid.
A little trivia for you: the set of that movie that was in a big recording studio in England caught
007.
fire.
It was the 007 studio too.
Yeah,
It's hard to find a good copy that isn't all chopped up. I've seen the full version once. It's like the European version.
I got to see it in the theater when I was little, which is weird. And that's where I ended up doing Rocky Horror, in that theater in particular.
Nice.
Because if you remember Legend, the film with Tim Curry, it's basically Persephone's story from Greece. And
Holy crap.
my name, Corinne, that's my name my mom gave me, Corinne. It's French. The French version of Core. And Core became Persephone. So it was totally my experience there in the film. When I was about 14, I saw it at the Skywalk Theater. And then my 16th birthday, all my friends took me to see Rocky Horror. And then I ended up being an actor in the show, you know, in front of the screen as Magenta. So and that's when I had a predator, a guy who was much older than me, that took my virginity, that seduced me and took my virginity. And so I went through her myth, the rape of Persephone, with Hades there in Rocky Horror. So life is a myth if you can see it that way.
No. Is this kind of what he talks about by your life being a myth, or making, what is it Carl Jung was talking about? Because
actually it's a bit more Joseph Campbell.
And the hero's journey.
Yeah, that's Joseph Campbell, dude. Totally all the way. And but also in the tarot, it's reflected from the full to the world. You're going through the hero's journey.
See, that's what I had this experience, and I thought I was living a movie so many times, and
there's a soundtrack too, because I believe God is my DJ.
Right on. And then I'm so good to see like the hero's journey work come out. Beth Martin started doing it, and it clicked for me finally. And then watching Empire step in with they immediately attack the hero. So you get COVID. And you get the hero nurses. Thanks for being our hero. You see how they attack it? Bastards. They ain't heroes.
It's so twisted. This whole Mad Hatter reality is so twisted. Absolutely. If you can see through it. But, I was prepared for many years that there will be a punchline. I was prepared that all this was going to go to shit in the media and all of this. But there will be a punchline. I believe it's going to get really bad. But eventually we'll start laughing. And once we start laughing, we'll never stop.
Awesome.
So I think, is that a good, do you think we should wrap it on that? Or what do we got anything else, guys? I don't know.
Man, they might have to do a part 2 or make Occult Priestess part of the whole Weavingspiders club, maybe?
Yeah, we'll have to definitely,
Occult
man.
Priestess.
Thank you guys. Thank you for motivating me to get my shit together, even though it didn't quite work. It does work when I'm recording, so I can make my own videos. But yeah, it inspired me to lift up my game a bit. And so thank you for that. And if you'd like to have me around, I'm always around.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Seriously. It's a lot of fun. I know it didn't jump off properly, but we got it on track. So that's all that matters. Seriously. Cause I was like, damn it, dude. I don't want to have to this is like so I'm glad it all came together. Yeah. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
It was nice meeting all the gentlemen here. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you everybody for coming out.
Yep. Thank you for everybody hanging out in the chat. Malia, Jolly, Cooper. Also, why don't you give your website, like wherever we can find your work or wherever anybody can find everything that you do and your services?
Okay. You can find me at OccultPriestess.com, also at Occult Priestess on Twitter, but pretty much the .com has everything. My videos are on YouTube and BitChute. We're spread thin these days, but really all you have to do is search my name, Occult Priestess, and I will pop up. And I do see clients quite often, actually, nowadays. And I can work with you wherever you find yourself. We start where you are. And I am your compassionate and loving guide who does not judge you for what you've been through or what you're dealing with right now, because I've been through it and I've dealt with it. And that's what we all need. Not everybody needs a professional, but a lot of us need mentors.
Amen to that.
Finally, someone I can go to about wearing my wife's clothes.
There you go. Send them to me, honey. Send them to me. I'll take them.
Just wear her socks, Snake. Just wear her socks. You'll be good.
Or her tiara, bro. Or her tiara, whatever you.
Women have been enjoying wearing men's clothes for a long time now.
Y'all love these our sweatshirts.
Yeah, those sweatshirts, they disappear.
They do disappear, god damn it.
Wool socks too.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I'm single. I don't have to worry about wearing some woman's clothes.
Not yet. Just wait.
Now, next week you'll be wearing skins.
Yeah, it happens. You have to get the newspaper or something, or like the package that you've been waiting for comes, but like your sweatpants are like next to the door, but it's dark, and then you put them on and they're not yours, and you're like, holy crap.
All right,
you just go grab it anyway, you know.
I gotta get something before we sign off, because it's what, a new moon. What's the astrological
Pisces.
Pisces. What's the astrological situation for the day?
Yeah, so the new moon was in Pisces, which is imaginative and awesome. But by the time we got on here, it was in Aries, the fire sign.
Because I saw that something you sent me, and it was like everything was clustered into one house. It felt like, or
it was all on the left side of the chart. So I tweeted that. If you look at Occult Priestess, I also tweeted it. But it was all on one side of the chart, all of the planets, and the moon where it was also in this. It wasn't the bowl. It was a different word they used for it. But that meant that we are in times of isolation and deep difficulty, and it mentioned World War II.
Especially during the Ides of March too, I get a weird, itchy, gross feeling during these couple weeks. And I always get I need to get out. Like I get this is the time of the year that I remember I moved out of Texas just on a whim. So it's like that. This is just like, it's breakout.
Two Brute.
Yeah.
Two.
I know.
Guys of March.
Actually, I saw a meme with Caesar salad dressing, and it had a knife in it.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean, we're here. We're here. It's the 14th, technically. It's a leap year.
Wait a second. Did we lose an hour?
Huh?
Yes, we lost an hour at 2:00.
We're losing an hour in 1 hour. Or 30.
How is it even possible?
26 minutes we're losing an hour.
Benjamin
Because
fucking
time
Franklin.
is fake, just as fake as the Matrix.
It's an illusion for sure.
Bullshit. We all know that. Come on, guys.
I want to string Benjamin Franklin up by that kite string.
Straight up.
With a
Make him
key on it.
early. Yeah.
And then drop John Newton on his head. Or whatever his name
Well,
is.
I would love to murder Darwin. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, I got a badass Darwin shirt that my boy gave me that but it's in the Scarface lettering, and it's got him carrying the book. It's awesome.
It's not his fault. People didn't have to read
I
the
know,
book
that's
to
what I'm
read the
saying.
crap. It's like they abandoned thousands of years of cultural
That
heritage for that guy. What the hell?
Because it goes along with the New World Order agenda that we're just meat suits, that we don't matter. There is no God. It's nihilism on crack and Gnosticism.
Yeah.
So
Imagine all the people.
It's true. I'm serious, and I love Gnosticism as a whole, but it's like, okay, y'all are just as bad as atheists, so go away. But not go away, because I'll listen to everybody, but because it's fun to entertain. Other than that, yep.
Well, I hope you guys have a groovy disco weekend.
Well, what else do we do besides disco all weekend, guys? Seriously. I mean,
I'm building a rabbit hutch. I got rabbits.
I got my roller skates on, so I'm out of here.
I'm pretty stoked for you, Snake. I want to get rabbits myself.
Dude, the New
Great for
Zealand.
meat.
Oh, they're meat rabbits, but they're so cute. It's gonna be a shame.
Oh
I
man,
want
you'll
goats.
never starve. That's a miracle.
That's the idea, babe. I'm doing it, but I want goats too. Those goats, man. That's where I'm little at a time.
I want to get bunnies. Like you'd have enough for like what? Like every week you could have one, maybe, or twice.
I've been warned.
Twice a
I
month,
might end
maybe?
up with like 40 rabbits here in a couple months and be overwhelmed, but I'll just
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, like
I already know it's already happened.
if you have 2 rabbits, or if you have like 3 rabbits or something, and then over a year, if
Yeah.
3 of them are female, then something like 36 rabbits.
I have
from-
3 females and 2 males.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of rabbits.
You got
They're big as dogs, man. These rabbits.
Oh man, with big floppy ears and stuff.
Oh, they're so cute. It's like I'm gonna eat you. Oh God.
I do you know that, like, did you discover the herbs that make them taste like heaven?
No, I'm
You
learning.
had to look up like fancy chefs cooking rabbit and figure out what they put on those suckers.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, stuff them with all kinds of delicious rosemary and butter. Give 'em
What's
butter
the
to eat.
nutritional value of rabbits? I thought they were very low in fat, or they're not very calorie thick or protein thick. What was it?
I think
Well,
it'd be
the
like
value-
a chicken.
Yeah, the value is just being able to provide for yourself and be independent.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that I was told, you know, when you make rabbit meat, that it's not, you know, it's not very fatty.
I don't know.
I-
This breed might be fatty. I think what you're talking about is like wild rabbit that's out there.
That's
Like
it.
when
I do know that it's better than squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel's kind of tough.
I tried cleaning a squirrel, and I always got squirrel hair in the meat, and it was disgusting.
Bless your
Yeah,
heart, man. That's ridiculous. I'm so sorry.
I had a friend that used to go shoot like every little marmot that he could see, and then we started making him eat everything that he shot. And he
good.
doing it.
Damn.
Quit.
Yeah, he quit after like a squirrel or like a chipmunky.
Well, we're happy to discover we have lots and lots of bullfrogs on our ponds here, so we'll be doing some frog digging too. So we got that meat available. Plenty of squirrel. The deer are everywhere. Got rabbits, chickens, little abraxases running around.
What's an abraxas?
Hmm?
Go for it.
Little chickens,
Go.
little Braxis feet. Braxis is kind of a chicken god,
It's a chicken snake god
chickeny.
in Gnosticism.
You gotta think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, Braxis. You gotta think of it like the guy from that.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah,
knew
no.
it was an occult word, and I had no idea what it had to do with chickens.
I see my chickens and I think of Abraxas all the time. That's all.
Okay. But
They're like
I was
Ishtar.
thinking Baba Yaga.
Oh yeah, I gotta look that. I'm ready for some Buddhism here.
Well, no,
Okay.
Baba Yaga is from like Norwegian, like heavy black metal. No, it's BABA
She just
YAGA.
she just learned about mayhem.
I
Baba
did.
Yaga.
I saw the Lords of Chaos and wanted to kill myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, everybody on YouTube. Good night. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend.
We
Stopping.
love you all, and we live in your heads. Till
Yeah.
next week.
That's where we